Hey everybody, what's going on? Greetings. Welcome to another episode of Heavy Metallurgy Friday edition. We are on number 173. It feels like only yesterday. It feels like we're on number 5, doesn't it, Alan?
It does not feel like it's 4+ years. It
No,
definitely
it
does
does not.
not,
No.
because it's like it's been maybe a couple of years, and you're like, no, my Friday nights for 4 years have been pretty booked up, and
God,
we've
it's
had
been
a ton
four
of fun with
years.
it. Hmm?
It's been 4 years. Holy
It's
crap.
been over 4 years. We're working on 4.5, son.
We're rolling
We
thunder.
are.
Well, it's been a hell of a good time, and you've made it fun, and everybody in this chat has made it fun as well. So, welcome, Alan. How are you today?
I'm good. It's been a busy week, but nothing bad. Just lots of things to tend to, but they've all been taken care of. Nothing blew up or burned out. So yeah, can't complain. Been a fun week. We've got a fun topic. We've got a fun guest. It's all fun tonight. So hopefully everyone in the chat will be able to kick back, relax, and have some fun with this as well.
Yeah. And before we get too far into this, we do have a list of new releases that came out today, August 23rd, 2024. Shall I dive into that list?
By all means.
All right. Starting off with All for Metal, Gods of Metal on Reigning Phoenix. Check that out a little bit. Didn't like it. Demiser, Slave to the Scythe, Blacklight, Flesh God Apocalypse, Opera, Nuclear Blast, Graven Noir, Devant La Porte de Etolies on Season of Mist. Nailed it. I thought I was French there for a second. Something came over me. King Crow, Hopium on Season of Mist. Knife, Live, Leather Hounds. Live Leather Hounds. I can't tell. Live Leather Hounds, probably. EP, Napalm, Cold Brand, Ingen Scansel on Dark Essence. I'm not Norwegian. Sorry. Nile, The Underworld Awaits Us All. People have been ranting and raving about that. I have not heard a
Yes,
note
they
from it.
have.
Napalm, Paralydium, Universe Calls on Frontiers, Rising Insane, Wildfires on Long Branch, Simone Simons, Vermilion on Nuclear Blast, Spectral Wounds, Songs of Blood and Mire on Profound Lore.
Yep.
Virgin Steel, there's two of them. Virgin Steel 1, the Anniversary Edition, and Virgin Steel Guardians of the Flame, the Anniversary Edition, both on Steamhammer SPV. Warlord, From the Ashes to the Archives, The Hot Pursuit Continues on High Roller. And two from Zimmer's Hole, Bound by Fire re-release and Legion of Flames re-release on both on M Theory. Anything I missed, Alan?
Nope, that covered it for me. And just a public service announcement. If anybody wants to look for those Virgin Steel reissues, Guardians of the Flame, very good album, early US power metal. Virgin Steel 1 is barely metal. It's really kind of more of a rock album. It has its moments, but there was a big leap between Virgin Steel 1 and 2. So yeah, if you just want something that's metal, get Guardians of the Flame, but preview Virgin Steel 1 before you buy it if you're not familiar, because I don't want you to spend your money on something you're not going to enjoy. And that album can be a tough one to swallow. It is not a lost metal classic. It's almost too early to be heavy metal from the US is the deal with that one. So yep, just letting folks know. But yeah, folks, I've heard one song from the Nile album and sounded very good. The Demiser album is quite strong. I wanted to do a review for that. I've just been way too busy to give it enough attention. But yeah, there's some good ones coming out this week, and there's a lot of good stuff next week too, I think. So hang on to your wallets. They're going to be empty soon.
Yep, absolutely. Picking up speed as the end of the year approaches. You'll start getting more and more bangers, I'm sure. But speaking of bangers, let's get this guy out here. He's a reoccurring friend to the show. And as always, welcome Darcy from Canada. Welcome. How you doing?
Yeah, pretty good, you guys. Great. Actually, awesome. I just super excited for this episode. Those of you that do watch my channel or follow me a little bit, you know that Judas Priest is my overall favorite band. I always say I got a shitload of favorite bands, but if I had to choose one, it would be Judas Priest. I just kind of got that connection, first big show, things like that. We can talk about all that tonight, but very happy that you guys kind of threw this on me only about 7 days ago. But I thought, you know what? we can do this. Let's do it. And I initially told Alan, I said, shit, this is going to be easy. But I texted him back. I texted him back the very next day and said, Alan, this is not easy.
I hate this. I hate you. I hate everything. Yep.
But you know what? Right up my alley. And like you guys did with Dwayne on the Iron Maiden one, I must have had my calculator out, probably 100 times and trying to get that time just perfect. Because you know what? I know, especially Alan is very strict on that time, and I wasn't going to get away with 82 minutes. So
nope.
But yeah, thanks for having me, guys, and thanks.
It's always a treat.
Hey, Alex, how are you?
Always a pleasure for sure. And what's been going on over at your channel? For those of you who might not be familiar, Darcy runs Darcy 6 Strings 9 Lives, link in the description. Go check that channel out. What have you been up to?
Just did a series of 3 videos. I broke it into favorite albums that happen to be at the debuts of bands, and I actually scraped up 18 out of my collection that are honest favorites that are debuts of the band, like for example Wasp, Testament, and amongst others. So come over there and check that out. Probably a collection update coming up soon. I was just mentioning to Alan and Marty in the green room before we went live that they cost me some money a week ago or so ago, and I think I got a bit of a video brewing for kind of my favorite EPs of all time. Love talking about EPs, but I usually leave those out of ranking videos and things like that, and got a couple other ranking videos, trying to put it together. Summer's busy though, and try to get some extra time out at the lake with friends and family, things like that, but still love doing this. And hop over to the channel, check it out if you haven't.
Absolutely. Good time. It's always a good time over there. A lot of excellent videos. Of course, Alan, what's been going on with you? We got Tuesdays, or I have not watched any YouTube videos lately. I have a lot of catching up to do, but what's been going on over at Let's Talk Metal?
Let's see. This past Tuesday, I did some obscure 1980s heavy metal bands that included all female lineups, not just like a female vocalist or female member. Had to be all ladies in the band. So, and I've gotten some really nice feedback on that. People have made some other good recommendations. Shout out to Metal Lieutenant. I believe he's in Japan. He recommended I check out a band called Shoya, who's a long-running Japanese all-female band. And really blown away on first impression. 30 minutes before we started tonight, I was digging around on Discogs and eBay trying to find one of their albums. Have really been impressed with them and never heard of them before. So thanks to the Lieutenant for that recommendation. I've already followed up, and it's already costing me money.
Yep, it's the way it goes.
That is. But that's one of the fun things. You can listen to this stuff for decades, and one day just kind of have someone like, hey, check this one out, and you're just absolutely blown away at how good it is.
Right on. So, Alan, what are we doing tonight? Why don't you refresh the crew here?
I want to see the whole shirt. There you go.
There it is. Yep.
Nice.
I'm not going to show you my gut though.
And just as Darcy's shirt suggested, tonight we are going to review Taylor Swift's Eras Tour, the first 19 months. It seems like that thing's been going on forever and will continue for the rest of this geologic era.
When you're making that much money, it's hard to say no.
I guess. I mean, it's like, what else is? If people were throwing that much money at you to just stand there and sing bland songs, I guess I would too. But no, what we do, the challenge here is we take, a sort of long-running band that we all love, and we have to pick our favorite songs. Your target length is 80 minutes because that's the length of one standard issue compact disc. So you can pick however many songs you want, whatever songs you want from throughout their career, but the total time can't go over 80 minutes. And in true Keep or Reap fashion, this one best of CD that you're putting together, that's all the Judas Priest you get for the rest of your life. You get to hear no other Judas Priest songs at any other point. You don't own the albums. You can't have them pop up on Spotify. No loopholes, no rule bending or breaking. It's like this will be the only Judas Priest you hear from now until eternity. So, there's different ways to approach this. And we'll talk about how we each tackled the problem, and we'll see what we've included, what we didn't include, and at the end, we'll kind of tally it all up. I'll be keeping some notes over on a spreadsheet, so we'll try to see like which albums were most popular, which albums got no representation at all, perhaps. And after the show, sometime this weekend, Marty will post all of our playlists over on Spotify so that folks can go and check them out, vote on who they think put together the most interesting or best playlist, just for fun, just so that again, kind of ties the music back to what we're going to talk about for the next few hours. And Miyu, thank you very much for that super chat. Appreciate it quite a bit.
Thanks
Glad
a bunch.
You could join us tonight.
Good to see you.
And before we get rolling, I just wanted to, what did you say in the chat? What episode number is this?
173.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable. I can't remember the very first I think I was on episode 69 or something was my first one. 69! Dude. But anyways, congratulations to you guys too, because you know what? Even running a YouTube channel for a one weekly video, by the time you put everything away and do your research, I mean, it's not just point the camera and shit comes out of your mouth. You got to think about it, and give the viewers something to watch, which you guys absolutely do. So congratulations again.
Thank you so much.
Great job.
Appreciate it.
Well, it's gentlemen like you that join us that make these. If it was just me and Alan every week, we'd be probably. I mean, there's always infinite amount of topics, but it's always nice to get someone in to bring fresh perspective. People get sick of just ours,
We'd have killed each other long ago. Admit it.
And that's
just come through the screen at you, all claws.
You guys have such a good guest pool of variety of metal, even hard rock. I mean, you get talking about anything on here, and that's what the appeal is for everybody. So if you're not into black metal, you'll tune in next week for something else. You know what I mean? So, but
anyways, we try to mix it up for folks. Yep.
So, did you guys find did you find it tough with this?
Yes.
Why don't you start, Darcy? What was your process in approaching this? So you're thinking easy. This is easy. You probably said, and then you started actually doing the homework and realizing what was at stake. Obviously, it's not for real and true, but still, right. If it's fun to play these little exercises.
It was, and I had checked my email, and Alan says, "Hey, we got some dates open. We got this topic. Are you interested?" And
thanks, vegan metalhead. Sorry.
I looked at my calendar and I'm like, you know what? If these guys are up for it, I'm ready for next Friday, which is today. And then I thought, oh shit, this will be easy. I started writing things down. And then, like I said, the very next day I'm texting Alan. I'm like, fuck, dude, this is hard. Like, man, I don't know what to pick. And then, so how I approached it is I had talked to Alan a little bit too. I wanted to build this as a flowing album from start to finish. I looked at it, how many tracks kind of is going to be the max once you add up all the time. Because Priest isn't quite like Maiden that has so many long songs. Yeah, Priest has a lot of, 6 to 7 minute tracks, but they also have quite a few 3-minute tracks or 3:15 or something like that. So anyways, I wanted it to flow like I imagine, okay, as if this is a CD, start to finish. And then I thought the old double vinyl version, how is this going to flow with 4 tracks on side A, 3 tracks on side B, 4 tracks on side 3, and another 3 or 4 tracks on side D. And I shuffle it around and made it work. But you want me to start with my first pick?
Sure.
Okay, and maybe people obviously might not see this one coming, but I am super impressed with Judas Priest's new album, Invincible Shield, from this year, and the first track that I heard on it, which is Panic Attack, and that is what I'm starting this album off. I love the intro. I love the intro to it because it kind of gave me the feeling of where is this going? And there was some throwback sounds in there of turbo-esque ram it down type of keyboardy things, and then right into this crunchy guitar, and then right into Panic Attack, which is my favorite track on that album, and it was the way to go leading off that album. And that's how I'm going to lead off my album, with Panic Attack from Invincible Shield, my first choice.
All right. Oop, I got to write this down.
Yeah, I've got the list, Marty, if you want me to just email them to you later.
Oh, okay. All right. You're a little quicker on the stick than I am. I write everything down by hand. You just go boop, 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 and it's done. Yep. It's all right, Alan. How about you? How did you approach this monstrosity?
Yeah, I had a little different approach to this one. I'm looking for the classic songs that I really love and want to continue to tracks that have not worn out their welcome, even after several decades of listening to them. In many cases, there may be one or two that are a little more off the beaten path. If there's a deep cut that I particularly enjoy, but yeah, there are certain ones that I don't need to hear anymore, and I've left those out. But there's a lot that I really do want to hear. In terms of building a playlist, one similarity to when I built the Iron Maiden playlist is I think about the sequence of songs in terms of the pacing of the songs. Like, I don't want all the fast songs at the beginning of the album and then all the like mid-paced ones at the end, or vice versa. So I tend to sort of really think about it in terms of like, let's do one or two bangers, then maybe do something a little slower or longer, more epic. Then maybe a couple of more rockers, then another real blazer. So there's kind of an up and down flow to my playlist, where it'll be faster songs, then slow it down, then speed it up, then slow it down, just so that there'd be kind of a nice overall pacing from start to finish if I were playing this as one long album. Now, one thing I did very different this time from Iron Maiden when we did that episode is I didn't keep these chronological at all. Most of my Iron Maiden playlist, I just started with the self-titled and worked forward through time. I mixed a few tracks here and there for certain reasons, but for the most part, is like the first few tracks were from the 2 Diano albums. Then the next few were the early Bruce albums, etc. This time, the tracks are kind of all over the place. And again, a lot of that has to do with the pacing, that, I didn't want to have like a block of Painkiller paced songs all back to back to back.
Yeah.
And a block of, Turbo-like songs all back to back to back. I wanted there to be more dynamics in the playlist than that. And that meant arranging things, much, much less in chronological order than I did for the Iron Maiden list. So that was my overall take. I'll say up front, this one was harder for me to do than the Iron Maiden list. It took a little more time. And looking at the list of songs I've left out, there's definitely more that I'm kind of sad I didn't have the time to work into this list. But that's the nature of the game. That's why we do it. So let's see. Darcy started with the first song off their newest album, a bold statement. I can respect that.
Surprising, a little bit surprising. I still haven't heard that record.
Surprising,
I have not heard the record.
Cool. Then how did you do the project tonight, Marty?
Oh, I'll get you my theory, my thoughts on this.
Okay. I'm just saying, there's a couple of, you already see, there's one song on here Darcy thinks is good enough to immortalize eternally, and you didn't even hear the album.
Well, this is Darcy's list. It's not my list.
and your list may be wrong because of it. You're going to hear
it may be wrong
like one time and be like, oh my gosh, this should be on my list, but it's too late. This song's lost to me.
I have heard Panic Attack.
There's no wrong. It's all.
No, it's all good. But yeah, interesting that Darcy went with, sort of, their big, hit song, so to speak, from this year. I kind of went exactly the opposite. Priest has a lot of really good songs as album openers. But for me, when I looked through all the albums, there's one in particular, that just stands out as an all-time opening highlight. And that is Hellion Electric Eye. That pairing, opening Screaming for Vengeance, that's absolutely how I want my Judas Priest compilation to start out. And I'm keeping the instrumental opener because you can't have Electric Eye without Hellion. Pulling those two apart, they're like Siamese twins. You're just going to do irreparable damage if you try to separate them.
And dude, you can afford the 40 seconds, okay?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's not that much time. Even if it were a little bit longer, I would make room for it. It's got to be there. But yeah, as an opening statement for Priest's entire career, one of their most recognizable songs, one of the real heavy metal anthems of any band from that entire decade, in my opinion. Hellion Electric Eye has to be on here, and it had to be right up front. There's just no better way in my mind to start a best of Judas Priest collection. So that's what my very first track's going to be: the
Great
Hellion
pick
and Electric Eye.
And a hell of an opener too.
Exactly. A
I
Hellion of an opener.
I got to tell you one thing. When I first got into Priest, You Got Another Thing Coming was the first song I ever heard, like kind of on the radio or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then I picked up Scream for Vengeance, and then I listened to Hellion Electric Eye. Didn't know a lot about the band at the time, but I thought there was two vocalists because of the, you know how that song flows with Rob's lows and highs. I'm like, there's got to be two guys singing this, you know. You just didn't know, right? But anyways, great choice, man.
All right,
Marty, how did you approach the homework other than skipping an entire album?
I skipped a lot of albums, I'm not gonna lie. And my theory behind this is simple. The fact, when I grew up, I've said this a million times on this channel, I was a Maiden guy. And in my area, for some reason, you couldn't like Maiden and Priest. You were either a Maiden guy or you were a Priest guy. And the Priest people were typically a little strange. But
What?
But as the years have gone by, I finally clicked with Priest, and the click has been great. I've been scrambling to get my collection filled up. I'm still missing some of the newer stuff, obviously, but all the classics have been obtained, and I find myself nowadays listening to Priest more than I do Maiden. It's just one of those things that, I haven't been banging on this band since a kid like I have with Maiden, so I'm not as familiar with the records, so I'm a lot more interested to devour them. And for me, when I look at a Priest album, there are very few Priest albums that I love from start to finish. I think most of the albums are great. I think most of the albums have a lot of good songs on them, but there's always one or two that fall off for me. And when I approach this list, okay, I have 80 minutes to pick an entire, how many ever bazillion years these guys have been around, since the 70s. I am, of course, going to gravitate towards their formative years, and the newer stuff, there's going to be a cutoff point. That cutoff point for me is Painkiller. After that, yep, they put out some good stuff after that too. But you know what? I'm not going to let it eat up classic Priest time. And I think there's enough deep cuts in the Priest catalog on really classic albums that satiate my need for Priest and that define what I think Priest is. So I did not go past Painkiller on this. I looked at all the records. I did not spin the newest one. I'm kind of waiting to get it so I can enjoy it all in one. I've heard the video or saw the video or single for Panic Attack. But yeah, I didn't think any modern Priest was going to do my comp any service. So I skipped it. And I'm cheating completely off of Alan's paper here. Apparently, I started off with Hellion Electric Eye because Hellion is the iconic intro to any album. It just, it's just iconic. You hear that, you know what you're in for. It's headbanging, fist thrusting, awesome stuff. And of course, Electric Eye, great companion to the intro. And it sets off what might be my favorite Priest record, other than, maybe Painkiller. But man, there's so many songs. This list I've revised. I was like, oh, this isn't going to be a big deal. It's Priest. I'm only digging into a certain era here of Priest. But I found myself returning to a whole bunch of songs that I wanted to have on there. So I was trimming and rearranging. So that we landed where we landed, and we start off with Hellion and Electric Eye. So, and also I approached my list like I did last time too. I made it like I was making somebody a mixtape. I wanted flow to it. I want it to start off hot. I want it to end hot. I want there to be some peaks and valleys throughout my list. So that was my thinking going into it. So, okay. Darcy, you're back for round 2.
Well, a couple things too is when I was putting this list together, I thought so much of this shit, I can't play it again, but I could play it in my mind. It's pretty much burnt in there. Like, I mean, the whole Screaming album, I could play start to finish in my mind, or Defenders or stuff like that. Not to say that I didn't include some of those songs on here, because I did, but I really built, obviously I built the album for me and not for, if it was given to somebody as a mixtape, I think it would be a good representation of, pretty much the whole band's career, leading off with even 2024 all the way to maybe 1974. Who knows? We'll see at the end of the list. But that's kind of how I threw it in there too. And well, you'll see when we'll just go on with number 2. So my second track right after Panic Attack goes right into, at the time, probably one of the fastest, best songs I've ever heard. The video was unreal. My real introduction to the band, and that is Free Will Burning off of Defenders of the Faith.
Great song. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Packed in that 4 minutes and 24 seconds is, if you try to read along with the lyrics, you're amazed at what Rob can put in, how many words he can put into that song, because it's truly amazing. I still can't, I know parts of it that I can, but then he loses me. I just can't keep up. And the dual leads in that song, the solos, the back and forth, and even Dave Holland, he was just doing his job back there. That's all he had to do is keep time. Ian Hill's always been phenomenal bass player, maybe a hidden gem in the band, but Free Will Burning, it's just one of those songs I just never get sick of. And I'm sure you guys seen the video on Headbangers Ball, or here in Canada, the Pepsi Power, where Rob's inside that video game and the Formula One video game or whatever it was. But yeah, so there is track 2 is Free Will Burning off of 1984's Defenders of the Faith.
Great song. Great song. I'm really curious how many Ripper songs are going to make these lists tonight. Alan's got the look of he's about to drop something off Demolition on us right now.
Oh yeah, no, I'm opening a beer over here. But no, yeah, great song. Free Will Burn is one I moved around a lot trying to figure out what to do with it and where to put it in the playlist. Let's see, track number 2. Yeah, I'm starting with Hellion Electric Eye, like Marty described. That's iconic. Is really going to get you set. It's a good high energy song. And I wanted to go from strength to strength. So I wanted another real pounder, really fast, aggressive banger track. And the one I decided on for track number 2 is Ram It Down from, of course, the Ram It Down album.
Wow. That song may have made my list too, actually. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's not their most popular album, and I get that. It's a flawed album. It has its problems. Yeah. But it has a few very, very good songs on it, and Ram It Down is an absolute pounder. It takes no prisoners whatsoever, and that's how I want this album, to come out of the gate. I want it to come out all guns blazing, except I didn't pick All Guns Blazing. That might come later. So yeah, I wanted to go straight from Electric Eye into something even faster and more aggressive, and Ram It Down fit perfectly in that role, and so that's going to be my number 2 pick. If you've never checked out that album by chance, because it has, a pretty dodgy reputation, that is fair. It is worth listening through at least once for the highlights. You can sit through some of the bad songs. You'll recognize them quickly. You can always hit skip and, move on to the next song. There's at least, I think, 3 tracks on Ram It Down that are very worthy of being in consideration for this kind of topic. I'm not going to say if all 3 made it here tonight or not, but the album is represented, if nothing else, by its title track, because it is a scorcher. Another good example of, Priest nailing it on the title track. So Ram It Down is going to be number 2. My comp is going to come out of the gate screaming for vengeance, except I haven't picked it yet either.
Well, that is a killer pick because if you know the track, Rob's scream at the beginning of Ram It Down, I mean, it's bone chilling, man. It is awesome. And I would go as far as to say more than 3 tracks on that album. There's more like close to, well, never mind Johnny Be Good. Let's pretend it's not on there. Maybe that's why it gets a shit rap all the time. But there is at least 4, almost 5 tracks that I love them. They're awesome. Great pick though.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. Next up for
Marty,
me.
You got a killer opener. What are you going to follow that up with though?
I'm going to keep the intensity of it going here, and I picked a favorite of mine. Oops, I just did something. There it is. I went from Electric Eye. I moved into Rapid Fire off of British Steel.
Okay. Yep.
I love that song. Just hard driving, and it just, Halford's dominating, delivery of the vocals. It's a great song. Hard drive. Is it a complex song? It really isn't. It's just a headbanger, just hard driving in your face. And, I don't love all of British Steel, but it starts off really strong and kind of ends a little weak for me. But love that song. I thought Rapid Fire would be a good follow-up to Electric Eye.
Yeah, that's a great song. I love the opening to that. It's so awesome. Yep. Oh yeah, it's awesome.
Like a battering ram. So good. Ugh.
Yep.
Awesome.
No, that's a very good song off an album that sometimes I tend to sell that album a little bit short. Just it's one of those I've heard a lot, so I kind of sometimes push it a little bit aside when I shouldn't. It's a very solid album, and that is a really good pick from it. I like that.
Yeah, no, I love that album too. That's a top 5 Judas Priest album for me. British Steel, for sure.
All right, Darcy, you're next. Number 3.
Well, I don't know if I'm supposed to hold up the albums, but
you can if you want. I didn't grab any, but you might as well if you want. You can be our visual. You can be our Vanna White tonight.
Okay, I'll be Van. I
literally white.
Like to have a little, and then it gives you a little bit more to talk about too. So, all right. So right out of the gate, we had Panic Attack right into Free Will Burning, and we'll call this the 3rd track on side A or whatever. But Alan, I'm gonna go right into Ram It Down, but with a different track. You might be able to. I bet you Alan knows what I'm going to hold up. I didn't know if I wanted to dedicate 7 minutes and 51 seconds to this track, but I thought, fuck it. I love it, and I always have. And that is Blood Red Skies off of Ram It Down.
It's a good song.
Yeah, that's a killer.
I love this artwork. And I'll tell you another thing that might be a reason this thing gets shit on a bit too, is that electric drum.
Yes.
These are not natural drums. I've said it before, man, if a guy like Scott Travis took this baby back into the studio, redid all the drum tracks, and they did a re-release of this, it is a great album. And take off the cover track. We don't need it, but it was thrown on there for different reasons, a movie, shit like that, record label pressure. Doesn't matter. But getting back to Blood Red Skies, which is the opening track on the B side to this, so it really fits. They came out of the gate with your favorite there, Alan, Ram It Down. But the other tracks I was mentioning too, Heavy Metal. I know it's corny as shit with the lyrics, but man,
good.
That thing crushes. Hard as Iron, another great track, but nothing is beating Blood Red Skies, and I had to have it with me on my Forever Priest comp.
No, that's an awesome pick. Opening side 2 was the perfect place for that song as well, I felt, on Ram It Down. Because, the side A opens up and rips your head off. But side B opens up with this long, slow burner of a track that, just, builds a lot of tension. It's a fantastic song, and it's a great pick.
And I always thought it was a brother-sister song to another song that might come up here tonight, but I'm not going to say anything. We'll get to that later, but what did you pick, Alan? What's your number 3?
Let's see. That's a good question. Before I get to my number 3, folks have been talking about this kind of in the chat about like, Maiden versus Priest, how much they listen to, what eras and stuff. Traditionally, I did not have the Maiden versus Priest. That was not a thing where I grew up. So
No, me
I
either.
think it's a northern
them
thing.
both.
It's weird. I don't know.
It seems to be like a northern or Midwestern thing. Because
Yeah.
when I moved up to Ohio, yes, people were very split on that. Again, we were so far out in the sticks that you listened to whatever you could get. You didn't have time to be picky about, oh, we're not going to listen to that band. That's the only thing we've got. But yeah, so I've always, liked both bands. In recent years, Priest is a band I put, a little higher up the scale than Maiden, for the simple fact that Priest, when I look at their career overall, they've got a ton of excellent albums, and they're more spread out through the years. Iron Maiden might have the same number of top-notch albums as Priest, but they're all at the beginning of their career. I've said before that if I did not have any Iron Maiden that came after Seventh Son, I'd be okay. That would be fine. Whereas with Priest, there's a lot of, their early stuff is great. There's some albums in the middle I don't need, but then there's some good ones in the 80s. There's some good one, there's at least one good one in the 90s. Some of their more recent stuff has been very solid. So I feel like Priest has, kind of hit the bullseye more consistently throughout their entire career than Maiden has for me. And that's one of the things that made this hard tonight. That has nothing to do with my third pick, but I did want to, get that in since folks have kind of been talking about it in the chat so far. Let's see. So I've had two, sort of barn burners to get this thing going. It's time to slow it down, go with something a little more moody, a little more epic. So kind of the same thing Darcy's doing. He went with the epic Blood Red Skies, but I went into the Wayback Machine and decided it was definitely time to break out Victim of Changes, one of the absolute signature songs from their earliest phase of their career. Absolute staple in their catalog for me. It's one of those songs that's just masterfully put together. It was, one of the things that really started to, put the band onto the map with Sad Wings of Destiny. That's songs, for me, it's kind of the centerpiece of that album. It's an early track and it's a flawless track. Has to be on here. And I think it's a good way to, sort of, let things slow down here a little bit, but, not with a ballad or anything like that. Just with, this, longer, very moody, tense song. And it seemed like a great place to kind of, take a little bit of a breather, but still have one of the best tracks from Priest's entire career. So track number 3 on my list is Victim of Changes. Got to get some of the early stuff worked in here too. This is the earliest track any of us have included so far.
That was on my list 2 different times. I kept wanting to include it, but I kept taking it off, and it ended up not making. I don't think it made it, but
it is a long song. It did eat up some time out of my 80 minutes, sacrifices were made that we'll have to discuss later. But I could not sacrifice anything to Victim.
The problem I was having, one of the bigger problems I was having with it is I have several slower songs on the list for Peaks and Valleys, but that and the production is, I've got like well-produced Priest, and then that just seems so thin. It seemed thin, although I love the song. It seemed thin, and
it's 1974.
Yeah,
so it's going to be different.
It seemed like it sucked some of the air out of it a little bit.
There are some great live versions of that too, Ben. You are correct. Yep. I didn't really look at live versions if I wanted anything for that. I did stick to the studio album versions, but in some cases you might be better off with a live take from some of these. That's a good point. I did not consider that. All right, Marty. Well, what did you pick for number 3? If it wasn't Victim of Changes, it was, drum roll,
Hellbent for Leather.
All right, Marty's going to keep on Free Will Burning here.
I picked that. I kept revolving back to this song because every time I hear this song, is it an outstanding Priest song? It's a good Priest song, but when I listen to it, it sounds like Judas Priest. It sounds like if I was to want to turn somebody on to Judas Priest, say, listen to this song. It's got a little bit of everything they are in it. It's got their flow, their bluesy punch. It's got everything. It's got, bloody knuckles on it as well, and leather, and I mean, everything cheesy and good and awesome about Priest is in this song. So it was off, it was on, it was off, it was on. I'm like, screw it. It's just one of those tracks that I associate with the band, and I think it's a good one to have on the list.
Mm-hmm. If there was, if you had to like write an entry for Judas Priest in the dictionary, and just be like, there would be a song. I think it might be, if it's not Breaking the Law, it'd be Hellbent for Leather. It really does summarize the band to a T. That's well said.
Yeah.
Okay. Up next is Darcy.
Well, and the one last thing I had to throw in there about Ram It Down, if you did an isolated vocals of Rob's performance on that album, you would be amazed. It is absolutely unbelievable. And so any of you guys out there haven't revisited Ram It Down in a while, go give it another listen and focus on those vocals. I mean, there's lots to love, but all right, coming up on my track 4, I shifted gears, had to represent one of my all-time favorite Priest albums and kind of my semi-intro before the big intro album. But this is a simple song, but I just love it. It's so catchy. Rob's vocals are awesome. That is Devil's Child off of Screaming for Vengeance. They're actually playing this one live again on this tour.
Nice.
It's one of the deeper tracks for sure. Is it the best Priest song ever? No, but I just love that.
It's a great chorus.
I love that opening riff. I love the chorus. It's so catchy. And again, a great vocal performance by Rob for sure. KK, Glenn trading off those solos and stuff like that. And yeah, Devil's Child has always been one of my favorite Priest songs. And I thought, if I'm taking anything off of this album, which, like I told you guys, I can play this one on autopilot, but I'm going to still take something that I could actually still hear. So Devil's Child for my 4th track.
All right. Alan.
Yeah, that's a good pick. Devil's Child. I think you're right. It's not one of the better known tracks. I think it's a deep cut that a lot of people dig off of Screaming for Vengeance. So I can definitely see folks wanting that one included here. All right, let's see. So I've kind of, we went back and, picked a longer, slower classic with Victim of Changes before that. Going to stay in the older part of the catalog for the time being. But I want to pick, a little shorter, more to the point song. And the follow-up to Victim of Changes for me has to be Ripper. Only 2 minutes, 51 seconds. It's a song that still has a lot of atmosphere to it. It's one of those tracks I heard from Priest early on in my formative years and was just really impressed. You just have, he's, just got that creepy whisper. And then, it's just, you're in for a surprise. You're in for a shock. Just, whoa. Yeah. This dude's got pipes.
Yeah.
And just, has a really kind of sinister little beat to it, where he's stalking, victims through the streets and everything. It's a really well done song, very short, very compact, but they really get a lot into those 3 minutes. It's always been a favorite. So yes, I'm sticking to Sad Wings here for another track, but it felt like a good way to start to transition back out of Victim of Changes with another cool, creepy, but shorter song here. So this is where this one ended up. I also have it here for another reason, but we got to wait till the next go around for me to make a linkage to the next song in particular. Little foreshadowing there.
Hey, thank you, North of the Rockies. We appreciate that. Thank you so much. You're too kind.
Yes, thank you, North. It's always good to see you in the chat, man. North's always got, tons of good comments and good sense of humor too. Very, very funny dude. All right, Marty. I'm kind of stuck in 1974 for a couple of songs here. Where are you at for your next one?
Well, when I made my initial go around of this list, there was like 4 songs off this album on it, as it's my favorite Priest album. But it was time for a slow song, so I went bluesy crooning Halford with Last Rose of Summer. I love that song.
I knew it.
I think it's
as soon as you said slower one, I'm like, yeah. Because I know what your favorite Priest album is.
Yep. And I just love his voice on it. I love the feel of the song. It feels very 70s. It's got a very 70s vibe to it.
Very much so. Yep.
I love it. I think it's a great song. And I've got such a big buildup of heavy hitters, headbangers, Time to drop the bottom out of it and slow it down a bit. And I think that's a good. I love bluesy Halford. I love Metal God too. Don't get me wrong, but yep, when he was singing more of his gut, I think it was a little bit more impactful for me.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Yeah, interesting choice. I like the song. I did not include it on my list, but I do like it. And yes, I liked it when they would try some of those different things on some of those early albums. You could, as a metal band, you could get away with that, in the mid 70s. You could mix it up on your albums a bit more. But by the time that you get into the early 80s, it would have been a lot harder to pull off a song like that and not had the fans throwing things at you.
There's a good mix of that on Sin After Sin. That is an album that is really well structured. It starts off with a banger, and there's a constant influx of dynamics, which I really like. And yeah, a lot of feeling. It goes from headbangers to a pure emotion.
Yep.
Got the Joan Baez cover on that. Yep.
No, it's a very good. It's an underrated album in their catalog.
No, and knowing that is, I think that's your absolute favorite Priest album. But I had a feeling you might pick that, but. On that album, there's 3 other choices that I would pick before that song.
I've got more.
And hey, maybe I have more too. So,
I trimmed one of them, unfortunately.
Definitely.
Can't keep them all. We've all made hard choices tonight. We will see how that plays out.
All right. Track 4. You know what? And Alan, you had mentioned you didn't really entertain any live versions and things like that, and
I probably should have.
I may have, but not on my next pick, because actually the live version of what I'm going to show to me is actually played too fast live. I love the album version of Desert Plains, and this is
I love that record. I love it.
This cover, this is the cover I grew up with, right? And this is the one. This is my OG copy. Yeah, Desert Plains. The intro in it, it's not super fast Priest. But I listened to a version. Shit, what was it on? Maybe, I don't know if it was on Priest Live or that show they did from what the hell's that show called? Long Beach. I think they did Desert Plains, but they speed it up. But I like the studio version. Desert Plains is just such a great track. There is another track on this album that I absolutely wanted to include, which I did, and I can say it. It's Solar Angels. I absolutely love that track.
Good song too.
I just didn't have the time to. I just couldn't afford 2 songs from Point of Entry, so I went with my favorite, and that is Desert Plains. It's just another one of those tracks I could listen to at any time. And I'm reading some of these great comments. Yes, absolutely underrated. If you've ever seen my Priest ranking, I promise you, it's not even near the bottom. Okay. It's a very underrated album, sandwiched in between 2 very high profile Priest albums, being British Steel and Scream for Vengeance. Nothing wrong with a little bit of in between. So that is my track 5, Desert Plains.
It's a very spacious album. I like, there's a lot of room in the songs. It's not hard driving all the time. And when they, slow it down and it open things up, it does feel like you're standing looking in that, the horizon. I don't know. I dig it. I always like the record.
Yeah. It is what it is, man. It's just like I said, it's tough when you're sandwiched in between those 2 beauties, right?
Yep.
Oh yeah. Tim, absolutely. The dual leads on there are phenomenal.
Absolutely. All right, Ellen, you're number 5.
All right, let's see. Point of Entry. A lot of people do like that one. If you've seen my Judas Priest rankings, it is pretty far down there.
Yeah.
Not the album for me, but that's okay. Let's see. What have I got for number 5? Okay, yes. This ties into my number 4 pick. So number 4 was Ripper. There's a song that Ripper is absolutely connected to in my mind. You cannot have one without immediately having the next one. And it kind of makes perfect sense because it's, the next one on the album, it's Tyrant. the transition from Ripper into Tyrant, where you just have that little is absolutely perfect. There is no better transition between two songs that I can think of off the top of my head. So, and both songs are great, standalone, but the way they connect those two with just that little, slide down and then immediately kind of punch you in the face.
Oh, yeah.
So I wanted, again, a song here that's, got a little more force to it. It's time to start picking up the pace again. We started with some bangers. We've gotten a couple of moody ones. Now we're going to go back and start rocking out again. And yes, Ripper and Tyrant have to be a back-to-back here. And again, Ripper was not very long. Tyrant's, a little more standard length. I've got my track times over here. Yeah, Tyrant, 4.5 minutes. It's a very average length song. Always have liked that one a lot. And so this felt like just the right place to have that 1-2 punch back-to-back, because they must be back-to-back. I cannot separate these two songs on this track list. We don't separate Hellion and Electric Eye. We do not separate Ripper and Tyrant either.
Well, obviously, you should just know that. Come on. But that intro riff, like that transition to that Tyrant riff, it's something special, right? It
is. This guy gets it. Absolutely. That's why we have Darcy on the show so much. He gets these things. So I am going to move off of Sad Wings after this. I promise. I've done 3 Sad Wings tracks in a row. It kind of just fell out that way. I didn't keep them together intentionally for chronology's sake. They just felt right together and in this order. But next round, we'll see where I go next. But before that, Marty's got to tell us where he's going next.
Well, me and Darcy are sharing the same brain a little bit here. We're on the same album, Point of Entry, and I had a couple picks from Point of Entry on this list, but I think coming off of that slow, somber ballad, let's go into the only hit that was actually an actual hit of theirs that I still want to listen to is Heading Out to the Highway. I love that song. I love the flow. I love the feel in the chorus. Halford just nails it on every element on this song. And again, there's a spacious feeling to it. You got Another Thing Coming or Breaking the Law. Those are songs that I'm so fucking sick of. If I never heard them again, great. Yay. Heading Out to the Highway, that comes on the radio. I'm listening to it. It's kind of like Queensryche has a similar song, Jet City Woman. I kind of link these two songs together. If it's on the radio, I'm happy and listening to them both. They both have a similar kind of feel, a really good chorus. I don't know. Heading Out to the Highway, out of all the hits out there, this is the one that had to make it on my list. I love the song. On an album that is often torpedoed by most Priest fans, which is fine. I get it. There's some duds on it, but mostly good. Anyway. Darcy, you're number 6.
I'm smiling. It's a good track. That one is kind of on old autopilot mode, and I just if I had more time, I would definitely take at least 3 tracks off of Point of Entry, but I don't. So we'll move on to track 6, and we said earlier, are we going to see any Ripper songs from the Ripper era? And we got to remind everybody, there was only 2 Judas Priest albums in the 90s, and that was 1990 and 1997. But I did pick one track from the Ripper era off of this album, Jugulator. And I had to give up 9 minutes and 17 seconds for it.
Man, your list suddenly went off the rails. I don't know what's happening up there in Canada, but
no, I know what you did, and I can see it.
Cathedral Spires.
You paid the price, but it's worth it.
I think it's worth it. Even though I would say the last 2 minutes of this song are pretty much could be cut away, it kind of gets kind of mundane, and it's just like, okay, let's end it already. But the first 2 minutes of this thing, it takes 2 minutes to build up this song and then get into it. But I think it's probably Ripper's best vocal performance in his 2 albums for Priest. Demolition, I can tell you right now, you are not going to see anything off of that album.
That is not a spoiler alert. Everybody knew that.
Yeah, this wasn't going to happen. But this is the one track that I wish Rob would have attempted maybe even a few years ago to. That's the one thing that does bother me, guys, when we're talking about Priest, not versus Maiden, but Priest and Maiden. I love that Iron Maiden represents all eras of their band, whether it be a reissue or tracks that Bruce sings that were done by Blaze or Paul. I really respect that, and I wish Judas Priest would too, even if it's only one track, and that is Cathedral Spires. That is my pick for track 6.
No, it was the one song I considered from the Tim Owens era, and I could not make enough time for it. It's just like I'm giving up too many other songs that I like better because to make room for 9 minutes of that. But I respect you for doing so. As much as you love Priest, you sacrificed 2 other songs to get that song on there.
And that's what I tried to do. I tried to get a little bit of everything.
Yep, you gave up 2 songs to fit in that one song, so
I did.
I can respect that absolutely. It is the song from that era.
I gave up Ripper and Tyrant just for that. Can you believe that?
When you put it like that, what the fuck were you thinking?
I told you, he's off the rails. I don't know what happened.
When you put it that way, now I'm sad and disturbed.
All right, Alan, you're next. Number 6.
Right. What did I do for number 6? Well, I said it was time to start ramping it back up some with, Tyrant. We're kind of, getting back in gear, getting the big heavy riff going again. And, from there, all we can do is push it into overdrive with yet another, big album opener from Priest. It's time for Painkiller in the track list. Very big, iconic, drum opening from Scott Travis. And then it's just time for Halford and Company to once again rip your head off at very high velocity. So an essential song. The problem with the Painkiller album and why there's not going to be a ton of songs I can pick, they do run a bit long. A lot of the songs here are more in that 6-ish minute range, and you start picking a lot of those, you lose too many other fine songs. But yeah, Painkiller, absolutely quintessential Judas Priest. A lot of people, it's a divisive album. There are a lot of fans that do not like this album because it's not Priesty enough. They feel like they went a little too far outside the box with this one becoming a very aggressive power speed metal band kind of album. But I love it to death. I think it's a brilliant album, and there's a lot of songs on this I could pick. We'll see how many make the cut by the time we get to the end of this. Painkiller, there was never any doubt. Painkiller was going to be on this somewhere. And right here, kind of, we're getting towards like, the 1/3 of the way through mark. I need to hit the gas, accelerate. Nothing does it better than Painkiller. So It seems like the perfect place to kind of get myself out of the 70s, bring it back up a little more modern, later Priest, and hit the gas.
Yeah, I think it's a good pick. And I think you said some people are a little bit divisive on it or whatever. They're a little, this is not Priesty enough. But when you have album after album produced by Tom Allom, and then Chris Sangridis comes in and absolutely changes the pace of this band. Yep. I mean, lots of fans were like, holy shit. And even when I heard the intro, the iconic drum intro to Painkiller, absolutely blown away. And that is the production was just next level. It really was. It was like a metal production. And if any people out there know albums that Chris Sangridis has produced, may he rest in peace, by the way. He got the best out of a lot of bands, and he did for Priest on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Oops, sorry, Alan.
Did. Oh, no, that's fine. Yeah. And there were that's a really good point on the production, Darcy. Yeah, there were other things going on there too. Priest definitely needed to kind of shake off those Johnny B. Good blues a little bit. They needed a more serious album after the past couple. It's right there at the dawn of the 90s. Metal scene was changing a lot. The party was pretty much over from the 1980s. It was, they couldn't, do that again. They needed to reestablish themselves as more serious. You have Scott Travis coming in, as a much more forceful drummer. And to Jeremy's point a minute ago, yeah, there are a lot of folks who think the same thing about Scott. That maybe he does ride the double bass too times. Can't really argue against that. But as Darcy said too, that opening to the album is iconic. I actually remember sitting in class, one day, or maybe we were like sitting outside after class. I actually think, everyone's just sitting there gabbing or whatever. And I was like, I think I was sitting on a table or a countertop or something, and it wasn't really maybe half paying attention to the conversation. And I just started kind of air drumming with my hands on the edge of the table, and I was doing the drum intro, da 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 da, not saying anything, just tapping it out kind of softly. And about after 15 seconds of it, one of the people standing there randomly looks at me. He's like, "Dude, you're doing Painkiller." I mean, it's that iconic that you can hear, someone just, tapping it out, on a countertop, and it will click. You know what, song they have running through their head right then.
Yeah. The one thing and sorry if I'm firing off here, but we got lots of time. We're good.
Oh yeah.
The one thing I thought I kind of challenged myself. I'm like, for whatever reason, if I removed the song Painkiller from that album, would I still feel the same way about the album as a whole? Because to me, it is the highlight of the album. And I'm not going to say after that it goes to shit, because that is not what I'm saying. But it kind of is a bit of a decline from that opening track. I mean, it is just so iconic and such a great opener. There's some other great tracks on there too. I mean, but I always thought, would it be the same album? But I guess you could say that about lots of things too. But there's other Priest albums. If you took away a key song, I think I'd still like it as much, but maybe not Painkiller as much. But anyway, still a great choice, Alan.
Yep. Yeah. I love this album. I think this is almost a perfect album. So even if Painkiller's not there, it would still rank real high for me.
Was that your intro? Was that your real intro?
Let me think. It was early. I don't think it was the first one I heard. It was the first one I bought new when it came out. I do know that. But I had heard bits and pieces before that. I think I'd actually heard Hellbent for Leather. No, sorry. I'd heard Unleashed. I think Unleashed in the East was actually my entry point to Priest. And after that, it might have been Painkiller after that, or Stained Class might have come in between the two. So, yeah, I hopped around a bit there. I knew, actually, there was also... When did the Metalworks collection come out? That came out a little later, didn't it?
Metalworks...
That was more like 92, 93.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, that was the, oh shit, Rob's gone, we need a placeholder kind of release. Yeah. Metalworks is where, I got exposed to, a wider range of Priest songs. But, yeah, Painkiller, I think, was like second or third in my Priest education.
Yeah, this copy says 2001, which was basically, I don't know, did it come out in 01? Because they were probably real, and because that's when Demolition came out.
Let's see.
It's 01, and they're probably like, we need to do something quick. And
Metalworks, let's see. Metalworks, I feel like it's 92 plus or minus.
This is the remastered, though. I think you're right. I think it's
okay. Metalworks is 93.
Yeah,
okay.
Mine's the remaster. Yeah, you're right. No, yeah, because, 7 years of nothing, right?
Mm-hmm, yeah. Yep. Indeed. All right. So, yeah, good discussions on the Painkiller there. So, Marty, track. The sixth slot has been, for some, very big epic songs here so far. Darcy went with Cathedral Spires. I went with Painkiller. Where are you at with track 6?
Lead off of Sin After Sin. I went with Sinner.
Okay. Yep.
Coming out of heading out to the highway, a radio hit, and Sinner is just Priest had a good run of excellent leadoff tracks. They just knew how to. They get the homework assignment. You put your banger at the front and grab everyone's attention. Hopefully, it'll maintain their attention for the entirety of the album. So, Sinner is a track I love, and great riffage. Really good riffy song, good singing. Even though it's a very 70s production, the song still cuts really well. So, Sinner for me on number 6.
That's a great pick. Yep. I will spoiler alert here before we go to 7. Sinner was the song I most wanted to squeeze into this that I could not find a way to squeeze into this.
Right.
It was the last song that I had to take out of my list to get it down to 80 minutes.
Right on.
Which stinks because it's a great song.
I got that. I'm good. I'm good to go.
Okay. Number 7, Darcy.
Number 7. So I definitely had some representation from Sin After Sin, but I had to go with a live version of my favorite song off of Sin After Sin, and that is Starbreaker from Unleashed in the East. I could afford the extra minute, and I think it's an extra minute and like 40 seconds. The live version I don't have Unleashed, but I'll just hold this one up. But love Starbreaker. My favorite track off of Sin After Sin. But the live version kind of has this, I'm assuming it's more KK because you got some of those dive bomb guitar like this, and then right into the song. And whether Rob touched up his vocals later, I couldn't give a shit. I don't care. It sounds good to me.
It's not a live album. It's about as live as Kiss Alive or Kiss Alive 2 or Frampton Comes Alive. None of that shit's live.
It is what it is, and I love it. And I love that version. And near the end of that version is they cut a little bit of a 1 minute 45-second drum bit. And but I love that track. And like you said, there's so many good songs on this album too. But if I had to pick one, which I did for my CD, it would be Starbreaker. So that is my track 7.
All right. Good pick. Alan.
All right, let's see where I'm at. Number 7. Okay, so again, I'm this one's all about the ebb and the flow for me on this comp. So we've gone Ripper into Tyrant into Painkiller. Painkiller, it's a longer, faster, very aggressive song. So here I wanted something that was still very cool, but again could maybe pump the brakes a little bit. And this felt like the perfect place for one of my favorite songs from their late 70s years, Killing Machine. Love the beat and the pacing to this one. It's almost got this kind of weird, funky, Thin Lizzy vibe to it. Just, great song. Rob's practically just snarling the lyrics out. It feels like, he's just, walking down a dark alley at night looking for trouble with a switchblade. I have always thought this was, a very cool and very underrated song. It's the title track of the album, of course. When it first came out in the UK and such, there was a delay when the album came out in the US, which wasn't until 79. It got retitled as Hellbent for Leather, which was probably a good choice. Obviously, it became an iconic title, and that combined with the cover art and the song itself, really kind of cemented Judas Priest in the States. So it's funny enough, it's a case where actually both album titles worked very, very well for it. But I think it's a song that some people overlook because, once you remove it as the title track and released in the US, that song maybe got a bit buried. It didn't get as much attention as it would have if it had been the title track. Just a cool beat, a really cool kind of sassy song structure, a lot of attitude in it. I've always loved that track. And here's a good pace for it. I can take a little bit of a break, just have something, that's, cool, dark, funky, and, just once again, quintessential Priest track I adore. So number 7 on my list is Killing Machine.
Yeah, good pick. And you gotta laugh looking back at those lyrics back in the day. Back in the day, I had no idea of these double entendre type of lyrics and Rob's what point he was really trying to get across on some of these songs. I think it's pretty clever.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The thing that's funny is when he came out, how many people were shocked. I mean, really? Really? You were shocked? The outfit, the biker outfit was always okay. No wonder.
Watch Adam Sandler on Joe Rogan. They were just talking about that.
Oh, really?
Oh, really?
You think Rob had everybody fooled? Come on. He's like, they just get, but they get into it. Actually, well worth your time if you do check out Adam Sandler on Joe Rogan.
Right on. Okay, I'm up next, number 7. Okay, we're building up steam here, continuing on. Free Wheel Burning off of Defenders. Another favorite album of mine. I love Defenders of the Faith.
Heck yeah.
It's that song, the riffing, and the way Halford rips the lyrics so rapid fire. It's great. And the interplay in the chorus, the way he's singing the chorus over the riffs, it's great. It's a great song, hard driving, so memorable. That's one thing. These guys, I think that's why I was always a Maiden guy, because Maiden just seems so much more sophisticated. You know what I mean? Their music seemed more complicated. Priest just seemed like, a seedy bar fight type of band. And now I get it, and I appreciate that, maybe more so than Maiden. Maiden's so busy thinking their own farts smell good nowadays, but Priest is still putting out great records, and and they've been around longer than Maiden, so I mean they deserve the adulation for sure. But Free Wheel Burning, number 7 for me.
Good pick.
Yep.
All right, Darcy, number 8.
Yeah, and
probably towards the middle of everybody's comp, I would assume.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm starting off track. Yeah, right in the middle. But you said you love Defenders too. That was my first big show. I mean, my mom and dad literally took us there, and I felt so bad for my mom, because some guy just barfed on his girlfriend right in front of us. And she saw all that, and we're like, "Oh, this is really good, Mom. I'm glad you took us. Like, she's like, okay, this is what this is about, eh? Okay." And you could smell dope in the crowd, things like that. Even way back then, I mean, they're smoking up shit like that. But I still got those photos. I got these old Polaroids of that show. I'll show you guys a few more after the show.
Oh, nice.
Anyways, on to track number 8. Kind of touched on this one. I think Alan picked up a little bit on this one. Brother sister track of Blood Red Skies, but that would be Out in the Cold from Turbo. Another awesome B-side opening track, Out in the Cold. And if you don't like this version, check out the version on Priest Live. It is just as good. But I've always loved that. I know is it a longer track? It's 6.5 minutes, but well worth the time. I am not I'm a Turbo fan of the album. I've always.
Would you say you're a Turbo lover?
I am a Turbo lover. There's some corny shit on here. Yeah, I get it.
Oh, of course. No, I like it too. It's a fun album.
I love this album, and I love the original. They did a 30th anniversary, which, you know what? Where the hell was 30th anniversary of Painkiller? Like, they totally missed that one. But anyways, hopefully there's a 35th coming or something, or 40th or something. But anyways, Out in the Cold, I had to have it on my comp. Love the song. Another just kind of slow builder into an epic kind of chorus. Really similar to Blood Red Skies, but this would be kind of the lighter version of the two. But I needed it on here, and there it is, Out in the Cold. That is my track number 8.
I can get down with that, and I'm going to show soon. All right, Alan.
All right, let's see. Yeah, Out of the Cold. Yeah, Turbo's another one of those albums that has its problems, but it has a handful of good songs, and
it does.
Out in the Cold is one of those.
It's kind of a fun record. I mean, it is. It's a fun record.
Yeah, and that's the point. Yeah, it is fun, and it's meant to be fun. If you're going to be all scream bloody gore or nothing, you're going to hate that album. That's okay, but it's okay to have fun sometimes. Not everything has to be blood, guts, and beer. Number 8 for me. So yeah, I had Painkiller at number 6. Going fast. We kind of backed it off a little bit, got a little groovy for Killing Machine. So after that, I kind of wanted the short, sharp stick punch right to the face, and so this is where I brought in Hellbent for Leather. Marty had it on his playlist a little earlier. I liked it right here, and so again, I did end up with 2 back-to-back from this album. And ironically enough, you have the 2 title tracks, depending on where you bought the album, what continent you were on. But yeah, it's, as we mentioned, it's, it is Judas Priest summarized in musical form, probably better than any other song they did. I wanted something that, it's for its time too. It's a very fast song. It's a very aggressive song. Sure, by modern standards, it might seem quaint to some people, but at its time, it really did sound Hellbent. And so it's a good one here for me to, kind of kick it up a notch from Killing Machine and, get a short, fast, really solid banger in my track list. So I'll use Hellbent for Leather in the number 8 slot. And Marty won't, because he had it at number 3 in his playlist. Yep. So he's got to put something else in the number 8 slot.
Yep. We got it figured out.
You know what, Ellen, too? It's pretty nifty in there. 2 albums of iconic stature in 1978. I mean, you got Stained Class, and then you got here. Well, I'm going to call it Hellbent for Leather. That's what I grew up with.
Of course, that's fine.
2 albums. I think you had one come out in February, one came out in November.
Crazy.
I mean, those were the days. I mean, those are the days where you got
a lot of bands did it.
Oh shit!
Oh, it was normal back then.
They had
Strong
to.
Arm of the Law and Wheels of Steel in one year. I mean, Kiss did it more than once.
Because they weren't selling enough. They had to put out records to get back on the road. Yeah.
And I do understand that they're 33, 35 minutes long, but I would take 2 Priest 35-minute album in a year any day over an hour and 10 minutes. You know what I mean?
4 years apart from each other. Yeah.
Yeah, or longer. Who the hell knows sometimes? But sorry, Marty, what's
that's a good point, Darcy. Oh, and just for the record, oddly enough, the first copy of the album I bought was a Killing Machine pressing.
Really?
It was not a Hellbent for. Yeah, I bought it from a vinyl dealer, and he happened to have the UK pressing, which I thought was kind of cool.
Nice, yeah.
So I got it. Of course, the UK pressing is missing a song from it, because they put it on a 12-inch single over there. And when they re-released it in the States, they took the song from the single and added it to the track list. So you actually get one extra song on the US version compared to the UK version.
And do you guys know for a fact that is that the same artist that did both those covers? Because I would imagine it is.
I will check while Marty looks this up. That's a good question. I'll bet they are too, because the style looks very similar.
Similar. Yeah. Sorry, Marty.
Oh, no.
I'll check on that while Marty reveals his number 8.
We're here to yap. We're here to yap. Okay. Next song is number 8, and I went with Riding on the Wind on Screaming for Vengeance. And I tried real hard to get Bloodstone on this comp as well, because it's another song I like. I really like the bluesy vibe on that song. Riding on the Wind is another fun song. It's a fun rocker for sure. And Screaming is starting to really edge its way up as a favorite of mine. I've always liked it. Painkiller kind of, ascended the throne there for a while, but I keep coming back to Screaming and Defenders of the Faith. It's a toss-up. There's so many good records that they put out in, a 10-year span. But, Riding on the Wind. It's a fun song. It's a good song. Had to be on the list.
Yeah, they're playing it live, too.
Right now. Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Sounds like they're breaking out. They're dusting off some classics to throw in something a little different. That's a good idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. And let's see, to answer Darcy's question, Good Eye as always from Darcy. Yes, Stained Class and Killing Machine / Hellbent did have the same cover. It says design person over here in the notes. Name was Roslav Szaybo. Zabo. I always have trouble with those
good old Roslav
Polish names.
Okay.
Yep. He did both of those, and passed away just a few years ago in 2019.
Yeah, cool.
All right, Darcy, number 9. Number 9.
Yeah. Actually, okay. Yeah, track number 9. and you guys already know that I was going to go for something,
Sorry, Alan.
a little variety, keep it fresh. And to
Sorry.
me,
I'll stop. Sorry.
You take the wheel there. On
No,
the comments, Marty.
I'm good. I'm going to listen. I'll put my hands right here.
To me, this is where the newer guitar player Richie Faulkner started to really shine, and was probably at this point able to do more because of Glenn's health and things like that. But I took a track off of this baby, off of Firepower. The track I chose is called Never the Heroes. It is
Good song.
I
It's a
love
good album. It's a
I
good
love
album.
the song.
Yeah.
Great production. So kind of tag team here with Tom Allum and Andy Sneap running things at this point. I know Tom wasn't involved. He actually was involved in the new one, but only on a couple of tracks. But Never the Heroes, I think fantastic vocal performance by Rob also again. And like I said, I really think Richie started to have a lot more input on this album. It came out in 2018. And I thought it was just kind of a rebirth of the band and just kept them going. They really, I just listened to an interview or read an interview with Ian. And he's, we love what we do, but Richie has really injected, he's basically kicked us in the ass. And Never the Heroes is one of my favorites, but there's so many good ones. There was a shorter one on here I would have loved to pick. And that is called No Surrender, but I had to leave it off because time constraints. But Never the Heroes is my track number 9.
All right.
Yeah, a lot of love for Firepower in the comments over here. A lot of people chiming in that. Yeah, it's kind of my point earlier. Yeah, it's very late in their career, and they hadn't made really a real strong album for a few before that. And here they come out of the blue, and really nailing it yet again.
I did a video like probably 6 months ago comparing 2000 till modern day Priest versus 2000 till 24 modern day Iron Maiden, which would have been 2019 was their last album. Anyways, to me, Priest has the better later catalog.
That album came out 5 years ago.
Which one?
Senjuku or
Senjutsu came out in 2019, I think, right?
Wow.
No, 2020.
2020. Yeah, it was a pandemic album.
2020, something like that.
It's already 4 years old.
Yeah.
It took me that long to just sit through it one time.
Yeah.
Yep.
But anyways, that's my number 9.
Oops, sorry.
Yeah, no, respect for getting Firepower represented there. Very strong album. And yeah, very good points about Richie Faulkner coming into his own with the band.
All right, Alan.
All right, number 9. So I had, the short, fast banger with Hellbent for Leather. Wanted another fun song here to go with it. So not necessarily a fast song, but didn't want to slow back down too much either. So felt like, I just want something, again, has that same kind of, very, fun, good times vibe, because Hellbent for Leather kind of, gets that across as well. And so I've backed it up with Turbo Lover at this point. Really like the way the song builds. Yes, it's got, tons of, synthesizers and guitar synths and all that kind of stuff on it. Yes, I get it why some people don't like the album, but I think that particular song really stands out. Once again, nailing the title track, nailing the opening song. It builds really, really nicely. It's got a good tension to it, kind of like Blood Red Skies in a way itself. And it's just a fun song. And that's what I wanted here. I didn't want to change pace around too much. I'm going to on the next track. But Turbo Lover, it was one that I found I had a little trouble finding a spot for until I realized, actually, you have some fun, Hellbent for Leather, and let's have some more fun. And yes, go with Turbo right here in the number 9 slot.
Well, I'm in that slot as well, and not with Turbo. But speaking of the album Turbo, that was back when I was a kid. That was the only Judas Priest album I owned was Turbo. I didn't really have anything before to compare it to, and I liked it. And I still have a very nostalgic connection to that record. And came out the same time that Somewhere in Time did. So you can see they're kind of maybe cheating off each other's paper a little bit. But I think
Good point.
Maiden with the guitar synths and stuff, they really integrated it quite well. I know Alan's not a big fan of that record, but I think they really integrated the guitar synths excellent with the songs. It made that album very atmospheric. Priest, they were so overt with the keyboard stuff. It was just so poppy, so cotton candy pop. And, you know, if you're comparing those two records, I'm always going to pick Somewhere in Time. But I went back and forth on getting this track on there. I had Turbo on there for a minute, but ultimately my favorite song on the album is Out in the Cold. It's a great song.
Fair.
And listening to it in context with the rest of the songs on my mixtape here, it is the keyboards on it are rough. It's very, very well. It's got a fun production. It's very 80s. It's a very 80s production.
It is a product of its time. Absolutely.
The song really gets good. The second half, the way it ends, the layering, the vamping that Halford does with the vocals and stuff.
Yep.
I've always loved the song, and there was no way it wasn't. It was on my list like 3 different times. I'm like, screw it. It's a long song. It kind of messes up the flow of my tape, but on the same token, I love it. It's got to be on there, and I wanted something from Turbo on there. I mean, a couple of the other songs I like are so freaking cheesy on that record. I don't know if I'd want to hear them more than. I don't know if I want to spend the only 80 minutes of Priest that I have listening to, you know, Parental Guidance or, you know, whatever.
Yeah, no, fair. Very fair.
Out in the Cold, number 9 for me. We're on to number 10.
No, if I could sneak an extra track in from Turbo, I would sneak in Reckless.
Well,
I
same
love
here.
that song. I mean,
Yeah.
that chorus
I like
is
Locked
so
In
catchy.
too. Locked In's a good song.
Locked In's
Locked In's
great
okay.
too, but Reckless is a great way to end up that album, I'll tell you.
Yes,
And,
it was a good closer.
Thanks for Metal Ben. He cleared it up in the comments. Senjutsu came out in 2021.
Yep.
But it was
Oh, okay.
recorded in 2019. That's what I was remembering. It was in the
Okay.
can for 2 years before it got released.
Yeah.
That's what I was remembering.
It took
So-
him that long to listen through it and edit it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm never going to pass up a chance to make a Senjutsu joke.
Yeah.
Just ain't going to happen.
I never thought that album would end when I listened to it the first time. Like, holy crap, there's another CD. Great.
But thanks to Metal Ben. He's a good dude.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah, the folks in the chat always can help cover stuff for us when we
you
when
got
we miss
so
some of
many
the
good
details.
people
Thank
in
you
there.
all for doing that. It really helps us quite a bit. We really do appreciate
Yep.
the help.
And they're very kind in the comments, even though they could
Mhm.
you know, kick us in the nuts every once in a while. But
We need to be
Over-
kicked in the nuts every once in a
once in a
while.
while.
probably.
Absolutely. I mean, very, very awesome comment section. So on to track number 10. So this is the only album that I have 2 songs represented from one album is what I mean. And that was the good old first Priest album. Some people got mixed feelings about this song, but this was the second video from Defenders, and I absolutely love it. And that is Love Bites. When you
That
feel
was on my list too.
when you feel warm,
Yep.
that's when I cry. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that never gets old, man.
Cool
I could be
song,
sitting-
dark song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Different
shit,
from the rest of the album. It's kind of a cool,
Mhm.
it's a cool dynamic twist and stylistic twist a little bit, you know?
Absolutely. I just think it's so that boom, 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 and then Rob just kicks it in there. I mean, I could be at a traffic light, absolutely blaring that. People are probably thinking I'm fucking nuts because I'm just like, yeah. But yeah, Love Bites. So, again, the old intro, the first big show I got to see in '84. One of those tracks that, yeah, I could play it over and over in my mind, but I had to include it. I just love it. What a track! Remember it from that show too, because I don't remember the exact track listing, but I don't think they
Wasn't
let
there a
off.
video for it too? I think I
Yeah,
remember
there-
on the
yeah, there was a
Power
video
Hour
for it.
seeing a video for it. Yeah.
There was, and definitely, I think how many videos were off of this thing?
Free Will Burning was a video. That one was a video.
What about Sentinel? Was that a video?
I don't know.
I don't know for sure.
Wouldn't be
on that.
surprised.
I mean, what an album! I mean, man, I wish I could have kept "Eat Me."
Eat Me Alive's a good
Eat
song.
Me Alive. I mean,
Yeah.
wrap tied around me. Like, I mean, those lyrics, that That's something. That's Rob's mind working.
Yeah, that's one that got him in trouble too. That's the one that
Or
Tipper
Jawbreaker, right?
started paying too
Jawbreaker's
much
another one
attention
of those.
for.
But anyways, that's my pick is Love Bites for track 10.
All right. Number 10, Alan. Good pick. Good pick,
Yep.
Darcy. It was on my list too, but I had to cull it. It's on my kid's list though. I noticed that he picked that one. I'm like, oh, wow.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, North's right. It's a cool song, but yeah, the whole I'm going to force you at gunpoint. That is the line that got Priest in a lot of shit with the PMRC. People are sometimes fuzzy on like which song, got them in trouble with the censors. That's the line in particular in the song, and in his autobiography, Halford mentioned he wrote that song very late at night. It was after midnight. He was kind of putting the lyrics together. And he just, it's like, it just kind of fit. It sounded cool. He's like, I never thought anything really malicious about it at all. We know none of us ever gave it a thought when writing the song that there was anything that it was going to piss anybody off. That it had this line in there. He's just like, to Darcy's point, he's like, I'm writing a line about trying to get my dick sucked here. That's the only thing that's on my mind. It's not that I'm going to like actually kill someone to do it. Jeez.
Somebody in the comments said that's an underrated song or something like that. If have you heard the version of Eat Me Alive on this one?
Uh-uh.
Oh man, it's killer. It's awesome. This is the live album from Nostradamus era tour.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't have that.
Yeah, that's a great version of Eat Me Alive. Anyway, sorry.
All good.
All right. Are you done, Alan? Okay.
I'm number 10, right?
Yep, number 10.
Number 10.
Yeah, number 10 for me. We need another faster song. Let's go with one of the true early templates for speed metal as a genre. It's time for Exciter. A great song, a hugely influential song. Again, for its time, it's insanely fast in its pacing. Shows off Halford's skill. It may be the first Priest song I really fell in love with. I mentioned before that I'm pretty sure Unleashed in the East was the first Priest album I heard. And Exciter, the version of Exciter on that, is fantastic. Another great way, early album track, Stay in Class. Priest really does know how to deliver the goods, but that's not the song we're talking about here. We're talking about Exciter.
Yeah. 1978. I feel like that's ahead of its time, that song.
It's very much ahead of its time. Yeah, it's one of those songs, someday I want to sit down and, compile a list for a video of like, these 70s speed metal anthems, which of course is
that's a good idea.
A bit of a joke, but there were some songs that definitely inspired people in the next generation to play faster and faster. Deep Purple's Fireball is one of those songs that's even earlier than this one. Yeah. But Judas Priest's Exciter, it's the song that, really kicked a lot of people in the ass that you could sound this fast and still be tight. I mean, it's not like they're just flailing around and the song's a mess. No, they are absolutely nailing it. This is Priest, kind of at their peak here. We mentioned before, you get 2 albums in 78, and a lot of people will consider that, some of their strongest material ever on those 2 albums. So I wanted a fast song right here to speed things back up just a little bit, and Exciter will do the job just fine at number 10. So let me turn it over to Marty, do some bookkeeping here on our picks while he tells us what he's got.
Looks like the chat is helping you compile your 70 speed metal list here.
Yeah.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, let me stop.
Backing you up too.
Warrior, absolutely. Warrior's another one there. Purple's Burn. Yep. Kill the King. Yep. Okay. Well, they want my video idea. We've already got it done. Thanks, guys. No, those are all awesome picks for it. I've been keeping like a short, list over here on the side. It'll happen someday. It's in the works. I've got a couple of deep cuts that'll make that too. I think people like to check out.
Right on.
Because me and obscure stuff, gotta dig up some crap nobody ever heard of before. But Marty, you're number 10.
All right. Well, out in the cold, we're gonna ramp it up a little bit, and I'm going with my third song off of Sin After Sin, which is Dissonant Aggressor. Great ending to that record, and it's a very, you listen to the whole album, and it is just such an awkward, obtuse riff. The way the feel of it is so. It's a very interesting ending to that record. It really perks your ears up. It's an inventive, awesome song. Has good aggression, great singing, the whole thing. It's just a different track to end on, and otherwise, very bluesy record. It's a very metal song. Slayer covered it. Good stuff. Great song. Number 10.
No, you know what? Ahead of its time. It comes to mind again on that track too. Oh
yeah, totally ahead of its time.
1977. That was it's an incredible song, and it was in serious consideration for my list. It ended up not making it, but if I would have had the time, it would have been in here.
Right on.
Yep. No, it's a kind of an out of place song in their catalog for that time when you think about it, but it's so incredible that it just works.
Yep. It's be kind of like, this is where we're going. You put a song like that at the end of an album like that, it's kind of it didn't fit anywhere else on the record except at the end. Perfect place for it. Perfect.
Yep. Yes, I agree absolutely. That song would not have fit anywhere else on that album, but it is a crazy way to close it out.
All right, Darcy, we're on to number 11.
Track 11. Well, we're good.
Last quarter of our comps.
I know, but we're good on time. We need to throw a few extras in here too.
We'll go over like some honorable mentions and stuff. Yeah.
Are we? Okay.
Sure.
I don't know if I'm super prepared for that, but my next pick, track 11. There's 9 tracks on this album. 7 out of 9 easily could have made my comp, but I picked a deeper track that is really honestly one of my favorites off of British Steel, and that is You Don't Have to Be Old to Be Wise. I absolutely love that song. Great riff. It's not ultra heavy or ultra fast. It's just good Judas Priest doing a great song. I love the lyrics. I love the vocals. Always have been a standout on this album for me, and that is You Don't Have to Be Old to Be Wise off of 1980s British Steel. That is my number 11 pick.
All right. So a British Steel one for Darcy, and update this one over here. Nice choice. Let's see. Number 11 for me. Got to do some more 70s material here. This one's funny. Marty alluded to it earlier because it's not actually a Judas Priest song, but they did such an incredible job covering it that for me, it's always been a classic Judas Priest song.
If it's the one I think you picked. Oh, okay. The one I know what you're talking about.
Other two, it could be if you think.
The one was on my list, but I'm like, I'm not picking any covers to put on a Judas Priest thing, even though it rules. They kind of made it their own.
I did think about that. It did occur to me. It's like it's a little weird to put to pick a cover song for this.
Yep.
But Dan, it's such they did such a killer job of. They make it their own, and it's fantastic. And I really don't want to reap it into the ether and never hear it again. So because the song's an absolute diamond and we're not going to consent it to rusting away. Diamonds and rust.
I think I heard the Joan Baez song and I thought it sucked.
I don't know if I've ever heard the Joan Baez version, and I don't know if I care to.
Yeah, the Priest version it's great.
I've heard it, but I don't know if it sucks. It's just so blah, plain.
Yeah, very blah, very folky, I don't know.
Mm-hmm. But folks that are listening to them off here like James, Priest. We don't necessarily think of Priest as a covers band, probably because Johnny B. Good scarred us, and we just try to mentally block it all. But they did, a lot of covers, especially early on.
Alishi. It's a great song.
I think you can make this list easily.
Yeah,
Fleetwood
and
Mac
a lot of that reading Halford's autobiography, a lot of that was record label pressure. That they had Priest do cover songs because they figured that was those at the time were considered like an easy way to get some attention and some airplay. And so they're like, you got your album done, great. Now, how about you do a cover song to wrap that puppy up for us? And like, okay, yes, sir. I mean, you're a young band, you're on a big record label, you're trying to break through. What you going to do? Tell them to fuck off? You're not going to make a cover song for them? Like, okay, well, yeah, we'll tack the cover song on there. and they did really good on a lot of them. You know, some we've talked before, some bands like Metallica do really good at cover songs. Most bands do not. Priest could be on that list of other bands that understand how to do an excellent, cover of somebody else's song and make it their own and make it a really strong one. So that if you didn't, it's always amazing. So many people don't realize that's not a Judas Priest song because it sounds just like a Judas Priest song should. There's always that, moment for new fans when they're like, what do you mean it's a Joan Baez song? That ain't right. Oh shit. I guess it is.
Yep.
So yeah, a tribute to what a good job they do on it. And I want Diamonds and Rust, and I want it at track. Where are we at? Track 11 for me.
Track 11. Yep.
Shit, we got Sin After Sin pretty well covered on that. I'm kind of surprised a bit. It's good.
It's an album with a lot of good stuff for sure.
Awesome album. Yeah.
I'm working on tabs right now for how many songs we've picked from each album. So let me work on that while Marty moves on to his number 11 here.
All right. Well, we're going back to Hellbent for Leather with Delivering the Goods. I think that's the leadoff track. Am I wrong? I might be wrong.
That actually sounds right. I'm not. I don't have the track list in front
of
me.
It is. Again, good leadoff track. They're great at picking the bangers for the leadoff track. I've always reverted back to it. It was one of those that swirled around. Should I put it on? Should I not? And it made it on. It made it on. So Delivering the Goods. Not much more to say about than that. I think everybody knows it. It's a interesting song. It's a solid opener. It's a good size. It sizes up what that album offers, I think. It's good. Which brings us to number 12. Darcy.
Well, earlier I was kind of, trying to read the temperature of the room with you two guys with a certain few albums, and I have yet to see you guys hold up any Ripper era
Ain't
Priest,
happening.
or there's another album that I was probably.
If you picked a Demolition song, we're going to have a talk, son.
No, definitely. We already crossed that bridge, and there is no Demolition song going to appear tonight, but there is going to be a song from Nostradamus.
Okay, interesting.
There is 4. I'm not going to say maybe classic Priest, but there is 4 absolutely killer tracks on this album. But the one I picked is called Visions. And if you've never heard the song Visions, I highly recommend it. Go check it out. It is absolutely a phenomenal song. The vocals, the background, it's not heavy keyboards. It's kind of background atmospheric stuff. But Visions is a killer song. Also, there's other tracks on here, Alone. But the title track, Nostradamus itself, is a super heavy, fast track if you've never heard it. But I guess if you took Nostradamus and stripped away all the bullshit in between, the interludes and all that, there's some good stuff on here. And I've always loved the track Visions. I'm not sitting here telling you that Nostradamus is a masterpiece of all masterpieces. It's not, but it does not deserve the crap it does get. It's an investment to listen to this album. You can't just throw it on and expect to, be banging your head. You got to listen, but I don't know, maybe make a note, but Visions is a killer track. So that is my number 12 pick.
All right. I don't even know. I don't own that record. There's a few I don't own, and that's one of them.
Totally understandable.
Yep. I don't know the album well, but I've heard it a few times. I thought it was a very interesting album. I thought it was kind of cool. It's whenever it shows up for $5 in the local used bin, I am snapping it up because I do want to revisit it.
It'll turn
I
up.
thought it did have.
It will.
And it should. I'm surprised it hasn't already,
Yeah.
to be honest, because it doesn't have a good reputation. But I was pleasantly surprised when I finally checked it out. I'm just like, I kind of get why people didn't like it. But a big issue with that album too, again, at least like in Halford's, and I think even KK said it in his autobiography too, the touring cycle for that album really wasn't very good. They both felt like it was sort of a missed opportunity that, we've got a very different kind of album here, this kind of big, grander, conceptual, symphonic kind of thing. and we should have done we should have played that up. We should have made a stage show that would have matched that material, and they didn't.
They wanted to play they actually wanted to play the whole thing.
Yeah,
But,
they wanted to make that a big part of the live set, and it didn't fly for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And they kind of felt like, that might have helped sell a lot of people on the album, but as it was, here's this oddball album, and as soon as we're on tour, we were playing like maybe 1 or 2 songs from it, and so everybody was just like, oh well, yeah, I guess they don't like it either. So they felt like people never really had a chance to get it because they didn't present it correctly in the live environment. But yeah,
but just check out that track. I mean, I wouldn't shit you guys. That is a great track, and it gives you, some hope that it's not total shit, because it's not. And some great artwork there too. That is Mark Wilkinson. He's done, I think, the past 2 or 3 Iron Maiden album covers too, and a bunch of stuff for Priest and other metal bands.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Alan, number 12.
Number 12 for me. Okay, let's trivia time. Judas Priest trivia time. I said earlier that when Killing Machine was released in the U.S. under the Hellbent for Leather title, it had a song added to it that had not been available on Killing Machine as released in the UK because it was on a single instead. That's the whole reason I eventually bought you a copy of Hellbent for Leather, was to get that song, and it's what I'm putting here at number 12. What song is missing from Killing Machine?
Oh, shit. I'm drawing a blank. Somebody will answer that in the comments.
Yeah, I have no idea. No idea.
Waiting to see. I'm waiting to see if the chat calls it.
Green
yes,
Manalishi.
Alex.
Yeah, Green Manalishi.
Alex, yes, Green Manalishi is not on. If you get a copy of Killing Machine,
you win nothing.
You do not get Green Manalishi, and that pissed me off so much when I got that copy of Killing Machine. I mentioned great album, I loved it, but I was expecting and wanting it to have Green Manalishi on it because I'd heard it on Unleashed in the East, and I got him just like, where's the fucking song? Oh shit! I should have bought the American version. So we just discussed the fact that Priest nails it on some of these cover songs, and while it feels weird to have cover songs on a best of, my God, this is just quintessential Judas Priest. It's perfect. If I had to whittle this down to half of an album to a 45-minute, single LP or something, I'd probably still have Green Manalishi in this track list. It's way up there for me. I love the song. It's got this just, again, oozes atmosphere, huge swagger in Halford's vocals. It's just one of those damn near perfect songs. So I do not care that it's a cover song. I don't care who did it originally. I've heard the original version of this. I remember thinking it was okay, but don't care. That's not what I'm keeping. I am keeping Judas Priest's version of the Green Manalishi with the 2-pronged crown.
Yeah, and still a live staple for the most part too.
I rest my case. Yes. Yeah, it's God, what, 45 years later or something, and it still demands to be in the live set. That's how good it is, and that's why it's at number 12 for me. And it kind of fit nicely, I thought, with Diamonds and Rust too. Those songs have a little bit of the same, atmosphere and mood to them. So, 2 of those back to back, and we're kind of there's a little. I'm noticing I do have this kind of little click of songs here. After Exciter was fast, I've got a couple here that are a little more subdued in a way. We'll get back to some faster ones before we're done, but. We're in the dark and moody late 70s part of Judas Priest, which is a good place to be.
So is that it for cover songs? Just 4?
I don't know. I'd have to
Green Manalishi,
Diamonds and Rust, the
Johnny B. Good, Better by You, Better Than Me. That's original of Spooky Tooth.
Yeah.
I think just 4.
That's all I can think of off top of my head. Yeah.
I think
Okay.
just
It's probably
It
more.
might be. I was thinking there was at least one or two others, but I might be wrong. Because again, some of them are kind of obscure ones. You don't think of Better by You is one you don't really think of as a cover song unless you know it's a Spooky Tooth song.
I'm a little surprised by this too, to be honest. Me and Alan are kind of in the classic era, and Darcy he's giving props to the modern era. It's good.
I'm gonna wrap it up
That's
with a
good.
bang. Don't you worry. Don't hold on to your shit.
All right, number 12 for me.
Go ahead, Marty.
Had to get Desert Plains on here off a Point of
Yeah,
Entry.
yeah.
There is something about that song. I talked about spacious. It's a very spacious song. It's a rock, kind of like a hard rock song. It's not super heavy. It's not soft. It's just, it kind of rides right in the middle. It's just kind of a plodding ahead. Really good track. Great dual leads in it. I think that song really sums up Point of Entry quite well. I love it. I love the feel of it. And I'm very much into the feel of a song. It's kind of, I don't read lyrics. I typically don't give a shit. It's, how does the song make me feel? This is one of those tracks. I'm along for the ride. I'm in that big old Lincoln or Cadillac with the top down, just on that desert plain, driving as fast as I can, staring at the sunset. That's what the song feels like to me. So it's a good song. Good song. And had to make it on the list. 2 from Point of Entry. I'm psyched. I'm psyched with that, to be honest. So Darcy, number 13.
Track 13, and I only have 14 total tracks on my album.
That makes sense, because you have picked some longer ones. So
Yep.
So yeah, because I was at a running time of 79 minutes and 21 seconds, so I couldn't really cheat and afford another one. So I am on my second last track to finish up this album.
Okay.
And I wouldn't fail you guys. I mean, I got an absolute classic, and I think it fits very well for second last track of an album. Some heads are going to roll. I think that was a video on Defenders. Maybe that was the third single. Anyways, Beyond the Realms of Death.
Yep.
Another commitment at 6 minutes and 50
Yeah, it is.
seconds.
Yep.
But and keep in mind, lots of these, they're up in the brain. Like I seriously considered, should I have Victim of Changes on here? But I kind of got that one on autopilot. But this one, I even love this song more than I like Victim of Changes, and that's Beyond the Realms of Death. I just think it has so many peaks and valleys, and that scream by Halford, near the end, about a minute before it ends, I just, it just gives me chills. Yeah.
So good.
So it had to be on here, but there's a ton of shit on this album that easily could be on here. Even a track that they played. I know when they played it. They played it on that, that Priest 50th tour, Saints in Hell. They brought that song back. That's another killer track. Exciter, Savage. That's another good one too. That's kind of got a weird vibe, but yeah, I definitely had to include Beyond the Realms of Death. So there's my track 13.
All right. Alan.
Same. Track 13 is Beyond the Realms of Death.
Sweet.
Exactly the same spot as Darcy here. As somebody, I think it was Mike mentioned earlier in the comments that this is his favorite Judas Priest song of all time. It might be mine. I have not sat down and ranked them that way, but if it's not, it is very close to the top of the list. I've always thought this song was one of those like 10 heavy metal songs everybody should hear before they die kind of tracks. It's sad. It's beautifully written, but it's still very heavy. You get into that chorus and stuff. It conveys a lot of anger and isolation. Just the emotional delivery from Halford is just it's on a level that most people could not do on their best day. I always, fun fact, I always thought this was the song that got them in the lawsuit over the kids killing themselves and thinking there was a subliminal message, because it's very obvious, yes, about, it's very topical that way. It's not, of course, figured that out, later on. But yeah, it's a haunting, beautiful masterpiece of a song, and absolutely had to be on here. It is going to be, now I've done a few kind of slower, moodier songs in a row here. Rest of the way, and I've got a couple more songs left than Darcy. I've avoided a couple of longer songs to squeeze some stuff in.
Yeah, I still got 5 songs. 5 songs on my list.
I want to start to ramp it back up. We're going to end pretty strong for most of this. This is the last. I'm looking ahead. Yeah, this is the last slow track for my comp. We're going to go out with a bang here over the last few. But this song, there is no doubt. If you limited me to 5 Judas Priest songs, this would still be in it. If you limited me to 3, this would probably still be one of the 3. It is timeless. It's not just classic. It's not just a banger. It is a timeless song in heavy metal history.
Couldn't agree with you more.
It's great. 100%.
All right, Marty, what you got next? So
finally getting Metal Gods on the list off of British Steel. Love the song. Another good plotting, kind of mid-pace. It's a song that feels like you're on a mission.
Very much.
You're hearing like a tale unfold type of thing, and it sizes up their career. Maybe Metal Gods. I don't know. I've always really liked the song. I had it earlier in my set list, but I realized that coming after kind of a more subdued rocker like Desert Plains, I thought Metal Gods is a good place for it. British Steel isn't my favorite of theirs, but it's got some really good songs on it. Between this and Rapid Fire. Yeah. It makes it tough to overlook. So yeah, Metal Gods, my number 13.
Yeah. I mean, it's the track that literally gives Halford his,
namesake.
His stage name for the rest of eternity. Yeah. Nice pick.
Yeah. I always loved, when he would kind of walk around he would do that slow kind of, robotic, stage movement, when the legs would come down on some kind of machine that great pick. I definitely would put it on here if I had some room, but I didn't use my time as effectively as you guys did. But so my album is wrapping up with track 14. I knew right off the bat that I wanted to end this album with one word, and that was pain. So I had to have it on here. So Painkiller is my final track. Running time of 6:06. Not a second wasted on that 6:06 either. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to start off with something newer, flowing right into. I knew Painkiller was going to be my closing track at all times. It kind of reminds me of a closing track like, Megadeth's My Last Words, which is a fitting closing track. But when a song ends on one word, like die or pain, I just love it. I just think it's so cool. And that is what I picked, Painkiller, for track 14, which completes my comp.
Going out. It's interesting because it's the opening song on the Painkiller album, and you've got it last. But yeah, I mean, you put that as your closer, and there's basically nothing but smoking ruins left by the time it's over.
Yep.
I cannot argue with it being a closing track.
Yeah, it's kind of unorthodox to put it as a closing track, but I just thought it was fitting because I just wanted something newer to open up the album too that I love, because like I said, I love something off of all the albums, even stuff that wasn't represented by me tonight. There's still great shit. Just give me more time and we'll talk about it.
we do the 2 CD special limited edition, and we'll all be happier.
Yep. All right, Alan.
All right, let's see. Yes, I still have a handful of songs left here. Number 14 for me. I said we're going to really pick up the pace here, and we're going to do that. Second pick from the Ram It Down album, Hard as Iron. Darcy mentioned it earlier as the other just stone cold blazing anthem on that album, and it is. And I want it right here. I want this last set of songs to pretty much all be big. screaming kind of, anthems or bangers, and Hard as Iron, you can't argue against it at all. It's another one. People get so fixated on the stupid John B. Good cover, they forget tracks like this.
Yeah.
And Blood Red Skies and the title track are on this album. It's like, just skip the damn cover song. It's not that hard to skip it. Yes, we know it's horrible. It does not ruin that whole album. The album does have other issues, like the drum sound. You made a great point about the drums being, an issue with that album. But Hard as Iron, it is a stone cold ass kicker, and it's the perfect song right here at this point in my track list. I've had a few slower, moody songs. It's time to get out of that and just absolutely start headbanging again. Hard as Iron fits the bill.
Good pick. And that drum sound, to me, it doesn't affect my listening pleasure of that album. It does.
I'm okay. Yeah, I notice it, but it doesn't. I'm not going to give the album a thumbs down just because of the drum sound. No,
not at all. That's by the way, Alan, have you listened to Invincible Shield much?
Some. I got it, played it a decent amount when I got it, but I haven't circled back to it for a few months with everything else that I've been checking out.
Why I'm asking is there's a track on that will remind you of Hard as Iron called As God Is My Witness. Just make a note of it and check it out later if you want it or if you remember it. But that. Oh yeah,
I do. Yep.
That has a Hard as Iron feel for sure. Even Marty would like that one too.
Mm-hmm. It does. The only thing about that song that holds it back a little bit, the chorus, it feels like they hold back on the chorus a little bit. That is because it's a little more pacey. That with God as my witness.
Yeah, it's
I wish they had forced to the chorus on forward more.
Totally agree with that too.
Yeah. Ian and Tony, thank you both very much.
Thanks, Ian and Tony. You guys are awesome.
Really appreciate it. Always great having you guys hang out with us on Friday nights.
Yeah. Awesome guy. Both of them. Tony.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Tony's got a great sense of humor. And Ian's one of the longtime diehards here at Heavy Metallurgy. He's been with us for a long time, and we appreciate it greatly.
Yeah, he commenter on my channel too. I totally appreciate it.
All right.
So Marty, you're at number 14, and then I guess it'll be back to me for 15. We've got a little space left here before our 80 minutes is completely filled.
Okay. Well, I'm in Screaming for Vengeance, title track. Okay. Mike, thank you so much. You guys are crazy. Thank you so much.
It, Mike.
We appreciate you guys. Keeping the lights on around here. It's awesome. Thank you. I love Screaming for Vengeance. Again, it's edging up as a favorite, and there was another one. Like I said, I wanted to have Bloodstone on here too, but Screaming for Vengeance, great song. Hard driving, Helford up in his higher register. It just ups the intensity of the song. I love it. It's great. Number 14 for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's another iconic song.
Absolutely. Iconic album, period. Man, I love it.
It might... Well, we can talk about this later. It's in the conversation for their most recognizable album. It's got to be. But let's see. Okay, so on to
skip me.
Yep. Darcy has wrapped up. Yeah, he picked some longer songs, but you got some real gems by going for length on some of those tracks.
You got some.
There were some I wanted. You included some I wanted to, but I bypassed them. I kind of went for a little quantity on some of these. Glenn, thank you very much too, man. Really appreciate it. Glenn's another longtime metallurgist.
Absolutely.
Let's see. What do we got at 15? Oh, 15. Okay. Now somebody had this already in their list, but I had a very hard time thinking about what I wanted this to end with when I get to the last track. I found the one I wanted, but there were a bunch of tracks jockeying for that last position. This was one of them. And as Marty, I think, mentioned earlier, Dissident Aggressor is such a cool song to end an album on.
So quirky and awesome. Yeah.
It's got this weird aggressive nature to it that's very different for them. I really, for a while, I put it as the closing track, but it's not. Instead, I've got it here at number 15. We've hit Hard as Iron, and I want to kind of keep, that aggression going, but not with, another 6-minute, absolute pummeler. This, very short, quirky, weird, strange song, but I'm very aggressive on because it's, an aggressor.
Thanks, Ben. You're too kind, man. Thank you.
Ben, thank you all so much. Really do appreciate it. Glad folks are enjoying the show. We definitely appreciate some money to help. If folks ever wondered too about super chats, if you're newer to it, there's a StreamYard fee that we pay monthly to host these things, and Marty also pays folks like Kellen, Ben, Melanie, and others when they do album reviews on the channel for us. We're not asking them to do it, out of the goodness of their heart or
they have their own
volunteer
channels to maintain.
Yeah. They could just put that stuff on their own channels. But we're like, hey, if you would like to, again, like, Melanie reviewed Hammerfall for us. That wouldn't have fit on her channel very well, but she not only did it for us, it's like, here, have some money for your time and effort and helping, put content on our channel. We really appreciate it.
T-shirts, all that stuff, paying artists for T-shirts, it all.
All the T-shirt designs we've had that are available as merch, we've paid those artists for the designs and stuff. So, we do appreciate the super chats. We're not just putting it in our pocket, and going out, to buy blackjack and hookers and cigars. It does, help pay expenses tied to the channel for sure. So my point is, thank you all very much. The money, goes to support the show that y'all are watching right now.
You're all too kind. You are the best chat and group community in the. All channels say this shit, but we believe it. We believe it.
Not to belabor the point, but very often after we go off the air, we always stay backstage and chat with our guests for. It can vary from 20 minutes to 4 hours, depending. But it's always so many of them say, it's like, wow, the people in your chat are really nice and they really know their shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So, and they appreciate it. It's why a lot of guests will come back. We don't have a chat that's full of trolls who are giving people a hard time and they feel like, oh, fuck that. I don't want to deal with that again.
Yeah.
So y'all really do help make the channel better. And that is very much appreciated.
So what Alan is actually saying, after we go off the air tonight, it's hookers and blow. Okay.
all the way.
Hookers and blow. Yeah.
Simon,
we're going to be doing lines off of the back cover of the Turbo album. Glenn Tipton will be envious of how much Darcy can inhale without stopping for a breath.
Simon and Ryan, thank you so much for the chats, super chats. You guys are awesome. Thank you.
So much. Thank you very much, guys. Very much. You're hitting us faster than we can thank you at this point.
Thank you.
But no, it is very, very appreciated. To the point, I forgot. Okay, so yes, 15 for me. Dissident Aggressor, absolute standout track in the Priest catalog. But then it is Marty's turn to pick his number 15.
And Tony, I like the idea of doing a heavy Halloween version of this. Thank you for that.
That is on our list. Yes, Tony. Hey, we got Halloween worked in. We didn't have to wait for
There
me
it
to
is.
say it the last
Drink.
second before I cut it off.
Drink.
I'm just going to put Ride the Sky 14 times then.
Darcy has his greatest hits single.
There it is. All righty then. Number 15. Okay. When I was first getting into Priest, Stained Class ended up being kind of a favorite. And as I was going through tracks to pick for this, never hear any other Priest ever in my life other than this CD, I struggled to get anything on it except Beyond the Realms of Death. It kicked out Victim of Changes. I love it. It's an epic and emotional track. I mean, these guys, they summed it up perfectly. I don't need to dribble on more about it, but it just, Halford really digs into the mental state and the emotions of the lyrics on this one. And it fits perfectly. The way the song plays out, it mimics the topic very well. It's in concept and execution, a very well done song, and had to be on the list. It was my number 15, and it was the last more subdued track, and I'm going to end on a couple bangers. So thank you, Sunday Morning Sessions. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Sunday. It's always good to see Sunday in the chat. All right, let's see.
Speaking of reviews,
Oh, please go ahead, Mark.
Go check them out.
Stop for here a minute.
We're having a lot of fun doing them, and they're not as obviously reviews. Someone talking about a new album, it feels a little ridiculous because anybody can just go click on a couple links and listen to the album themselves. But we're trying to bring back the spirit of the print magazine in video form is what the whole thought of it is there. So
yeah, we also want to support, newer bands that are putting stuff out that may not be getting a lot of exposure. When they release something that's, good and we think other folks are going to enjoy it, yeah, we want to let you know about it. Not every band's going to have, a Metal Blade or a Nuclear Blast, hype machine helping push their product.
Just trying to diversify the content on the channel. Interviews will be we keep saying it. It'll happen eventually, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. But for now, it's what we do on Wednesdays and Friday nights and the reviews. So it's extra, a little fun bump in the road throughout the week here. Trelldom went up today. Ben Brain Smasher did the new Trelldom album today. So go check that out. And more to come. More to come every week. All right. Oops. I didn't mean to do that.
We're on 16.
Number 16.
All right. This is going to be a little quirky one for me. Because what happened with mine is I ended up with 78 minutes. I was over at like 83 minutes. Like, okay, a full song has to go, and it did. Sad, but it dropped me down to like 78 minutes. I'm just like, if I poke around, I can find a 2-minute Judas Priest song that maybe isn't one that would have made this list otherwise. But I've got 2 minutes, and I'm going to use them for something. And I didn't have to look hard. So track 16, I want to fill these 2 minutes with Heavy Duty off of Defenders of the Faith. Priest did a lot of songs like this where they're really just meant to be the song where everybody in the arena, has both hands up, chanting along with it. You do the big drum beats. You work up the crowd. They do have a lot of these, Take on the World, Heavy Duty, etc. So yeah, would this track have just made it on its own merits if I was doing this without a time limit? No, it wouldn't. But I don't mind having one of these either because Priest did a lot of them. It represents something that was part of a lot of their albums and their stage show. And it fits. I could squeak it in there to fill those last 2 minutes. So got Heavy Duty, and again, we're getting close to the end of the album. It seems like the point where you kind of want to, start again, amping things up, getting ready for the big closing moments here, which is how, Heavy Duty kind of sets things up at the end of Defenders of the Faith. So I liked putting it here just for the spirit of how Priest uses these kind of shorter anthemic songs. And I wasn't about to throw away 2 minutes on this cup. I was going to use every part of the buffalo for and get this puppy as full as I could.
Thanks, Steph. 2 demands. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, has had a lot of good comments and insights on his comments tonight. Really appreciate it.
You used your time pretty wisely, my friend.
I tried to.
But on that one, my OCD would have just snapped because I didn't have Defenders of the Faith attached to Heavy Duty because it's all. I'd lose sleep, man. I just couldn't have done it. But good for you for doing it.
I understand. This was a pair of songs. I would have in an ideal world they should stay together. This is an imperfect exercise, and in this case, I was okay sending those to separate rooms to think about what they'd done.
Well, and it's hard to find a 2-minute Priest song, right?
There's only so many that would fit here.
Yeah.
So this one.
Good work.
I had room for this. I did not have room. Spoiler alert: I did not have room to follow it up with Defenders, though.
Damn.
All right, Marty, have you got a 16? I'm betting you do.
I have a 16 and a 17.
Okay. What have you got at 16?
It's really as much shit as Ram It Down gets. Listen, revisiting that album this week, it really is laying out the battlefield for Painkiller.
Mm-hmm.
It's got the more modern production. It's decidedly even more leaning into modern heavy metal, more aggression to it. And I picked Ram It Down for 16. What a great lead-off track. Mm-hmm. It's just really hard-hitting song. It still sounds like Priest, but it's like they shed off the 70s and the 80s finally, and they're really kind of moving into effectively compete with what's going on in the metal world, the thrash bands, whatever, in a way that Maiden never could or did. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I think Painkiller is a perfect example of a classic legacy band actually fitting in quite well with what's going on in the modern world. But anyway, I picked Ram It Down. I think there's some shit on this album, but you know what? I think the good greatly outweighs it, and I like the modern sheen of it. I'm not gonna lie, and they've shed the powder puff pop of Turbo, which again, there's a nostalgic connection I have to that record. There's a charm to it, but it's kind of gross. That is like the sonic representation of cocaine. That album. That's what that from the cover all the way down to the songs. It's like it was funded by cocaine. But anyway, Ram It Down's my number 16.
Great pick. I love that track. And you know what? Getting back to Turbo one last time, if they would have thrown Johnny Be Good at the end of it, that's what I would have did. Like, even where it's placed is total shit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It doesn't need to be sandwiched in between I'm a Rocker and Love You to Death. Because actually Love You to Death is a good track. I love that track.
The only other worst place to put it would have been at the beginning of the album, like Celtic Frost did with Mexican Radio. But what a stupid...
Can you imagine opening a Judas Priest song with a cover of Johnny Be Good?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Whoa.
But
can you imagine opening a Celtic Frost album
with...
Yeah, can you imagine opening a Celtic Frost album with Mexican Radio? Oh.
Yes, I can, because
they did. Oops.
It's not even a good cover either. I mean, the Wall of Voodoo song is way better.
But
it
ain't no Green Man Alicia. That's
dude.
For sure.
You don't understand avant-garde, apparently.
No, not at all. But Ram It Down's got to be one of their best openers. Period.
Yep.
Good.
I picked Heading Out to the Highway early on. Oh, do you have a number 16, Alan? Or are you done? Okay, right on.
I have an 18.
Ooh, wow.
I used I made every minute count. But we're on 17. We're not there yet. So yeah, Heavy Duty's there for the 2 minutes, but also to kind of ramp us up towards the end. 17. Most people, when no one else has picked this, and I understand why, but I still like the song. I still turn up the volume a little bit every time it turns on the radio. And I feel like it's the Judas Priest song.
Oh, I know.
Everybody knows.
I know
your mother knows this is a Judas Priest song. Your aunt, who knits sweaters and takes care of too many cats, knows this is a Judas Priest song. Your 5th grade teacher, who only listened to Belinda Carlisle albums, knows this is a Judas Priest song. And I wanted it on here, and I wanted it towards the end. I almost put it as the closer.
Jeremy says, "Don't do it."
Got to do it, Jeremy. We got to. Jeremy's laying down the law, and I am breaking the law.
Oh, if I never hear that fucking song again, if I'm at your house and we're listening to your last Intimates of Priest, I'm leaving. I'm drinking all your beer and leaving before that song hits.
You'll like we still have one after this. I did not use it as the closer, but no, I get it. Yes. Now, see, for me, a track like Heading Out to the Highway, that's the hit for me. That just like, no, thank you. I've heard it enough.
Yeah.
That one for me, I've heard too much. Breaking the Law, I've heard it a ton, but it still clicks. No, it's not a deep track or anything.
It's a good song. It's a well-written song.
It is a good, well-written song. It's short. It's fat. It's another one of those kind of short, sharp, punches. It works fine for me. I have not yet. Maybe one day I'll be tired of it. I have not gotten to that day yet. And again, it's a short song. If it was like a 5-minute song, I probably might have cut it and worked into something else. But it fits here. It's the Judas Priest song. Again, look them up in the dictionary, and that's what you're going to see.
Yeah, man.
I am just not cult enough for people on track 17, but I don't care. It's my compilation, and I'll cry if I want to.
You had me going, Alan. That is not what I thought you were going to say.
Okay.
I thought you were going to say you got another thing coming. Because you said every mother's something, brothers, uncles, former roommate, whatever you said.
Yep. That's the other one they would know.
I didn't even think you were going to say Breaking the Law.
That's the other one they would know. And that is the one I left off because that one I'm a little more tired of than Breaking the Law, but that one's also a bit longer. If I put that one in, I'd have to take off like Breaking the Law and Heavy Duty. And it's like, nope, that's not making that deal.
See, I would take You Got Another Thing Coming over Breaking the Law and Heading Out to the Highway and Living After Midnight.
I'd take
I don't
any
know.
of them over Living After Midnight. That's
And
another one
just
that it's not
because-
bad, but I've heard it enough. Yep.
Actually, just because You Got Another Thing Coming was the first Priest song I ever truly heard.
Yep.
That
So,
song
yeah,
is
no.
actually quite deceptive. If you listen to the way the guitar riff is played, it's super simple, but
Yeah.
they're not just playing it straight. They're like rolling off those notes. It's if you listen to it, it's kind of cool and unique how they do it. You just want to go dun 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 dun, dun, but they're actually rolling those notes. They're giving those simple little slides. It gives that so much more feel. It's a good song. I'm just tired of it. You know, it's cool. It's
And
cool.
no, I perfectly get it why other folks would go ahead and leave it off. It's just one of those. There's always some old songs that stick with you, and some that eventually wear out their welcome. Amazingly, Breaking the Law has not worn out its welcome for me.
Yeah,
And I can't really explain why. It probably should have. If I'm trying to think of like a sentimental reason why or something, the only thing I can come up with off the top of my head is that, it was one of the few songs I would play a lot as a teenager that my dad liked. He's a bit, he likes a lot of music. He never gave me any shit about listening to heavy metal whatsoever, but he had zero interest in it. But there were some songs that he actually, thought were good. And that was always one he'd comment just like, that's a pretty cool song. Who's that? Like, that's Judas Priest. He's like, oh, okay, I've heard that name. Cool, I like that one. And so it was one of the few songs, like, there's a very, very short mixtape I can make of songs that my dad is going to like from my collection.
Yeah.
Breaking the Law would be one of the songs that would be on it. So maybe there's a little sentimentality there. I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's my number 17. And for those who don't like it, it's my compilation, and I'll play it if I want to. You can make your own compilation and leave it off.
Someone said that they think that your closing track's going to be United. I think it's going to be Hot Rockin'. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, no credit. 4 years, and this is the kind of abuse I take.
We kid.
No.
Right.
I've got a good one to go out on, but
So this
first-
money you guys are chipping in, it's for Alan's therapy, okay? Like,
To buy him more fruity beers.
oh no, we ain't doing that again. That was. I drank all 4 of those. I paid for them and I drank them, and not buying anymore.
Well, all right. Let's get done here
But,
with
yeah.
my number 17.
17.
well-
Is this your last track, Marty?
This is my last track. Yep.
Okay.
And I was building up with Ram It Down, stepped into the modern side of Priest. I'm going to end with Painkiller. Everybody's like, oh, I think Darcy ended with Painkiller as well. To me, it just seemed like, level the city and sit there and roast marshmallows over the embers with my comp. I thought that song, I love that record from start to finish, but I think Painkiller is probably the pinnacle. They kind of shoot their aggressive load on the beginning of the album, essentially.
Yeah.
But it's a great metal record. They're not a heavy metal record anymore. They're more, like I said, they've evolved into being able to hang with the thrash and the more extreme metal bands that were happening around that time. So, yep, I'm a start strong, end strong kind of guy. You got to bookend a bunch of dynamics with bangers, and that's what I've done. Painkiller, and again, if you think about it, I think someone mentioned this in the chat earlier on too, and it's really true. Once Halford rejoined Priest, they've just been kind of they've kind of stuck with the Painkiller aesthetic, especially on the last 2 records. The last 2 albums in particular are very modern, very aggressive. This still sounds like Judas Priest. It just sounds like more modern, different versions of Painkiller to me. So, I mean, if I end at Painkiller and I don't include anything in their catalog moving forward, I'm okay. I'm all right. It's going to be fine. So that's where I had to land.
good last track though.
All right, Alan.
Yep. Yeah, we talked about that with Darcy's. Even though it's an opening album track on Painkiller, that'll work as a closing track.
It will.
Cannot debate. All right. I say yes. I have an 18th track.
I want to predict this, okay? I think it's going to be
Yeah, let's guess.
Loch Ness. I'm just fucking with you.
Get this son of a bitch off my screen.
I think
No, bad Darcy.
I'm going to guess it's something off of. It's going to be something. You're going to end with something off of Sad Wings of Destiny.
Okay.
Give us a
But
hint.
what? I will give you a hint. It is. Let me think. What's a good hint? It's a banger, and it comes post Defenders of the Faith album.
Oh, okay.
So not an old one.
Post Defenders. So
Post Defenders. So
it's not
turbo forwards. Well, I'll do better than that because there's not really a ripper on turbo. It's a
Not really.
post turbo. Ram it down forward.
I have no idea. It's going to be something on Painkiller. You're gonna go with Metal
It's going to be
Meltdown.
Painkiller.
You're going to go either Leather Rebel or Metal Meltdown.
I would say
Oh, Hell Patrol. It's Hell Patrol. That's a great song.
All Guns Blazing.
Are those your final answers?
Those are I'm going with Hell Patrol.
Those are
Going
both
with all those. Yeah.
Those are both great options. They were on my list, but there's only one way to close this album out, and it's the same way that you close this album out. You have one shot at glory in the crossfire overhead. That is one of the greatest closing album tracks I've ever heard. It is incredibly epic, anthemic. But it doesn't give up any power or speed in doing so. It's not like a slow pounder chant along song. It is like, drive this motherfucker home, damn the torpedoes, full speed ahead into the sunset. I've always thought that was the perfect song to close that album out with. Yes, absolutely. North gets it. North absolutely gets it. One shot at glory. Couldn't pick a better closing track. And as we've just talked about, Priest has a ton of great album closers. It was hard to settle on one, but when I got to thinking over, just like, this has to be the one. I wanted the song in there, and there was no other point that made sense other than to let this be the one that we closed with. So track 18, One Shot at Glory from the Painkiller album. And that is everything I could squeeze in. I got 18 tracks, and there's stuff I left out, but there's stuff we all left out. But that's where we're at. So while I tally a couple of things up.
We all ended up with a Painkiller track.
We actually did, yes. That's one of the first thing that pops out. Everyone went to Painkiller for their closer.
Yep.
Now let's see some other trends here. I've been keeping scores. So let's walk through their catalog kind of quickly. I'll tell you how many tracks we picked. And obviously, sometimes we picked the same tracks as one another. Sometimes we didn't. But nobody picked anything from Rockarola. I don't think this is going to surprise us.
I tried. It's not a crap album. It's just so different. It just, yeah.
If I was to pick one off of there, it would be One for the Road.
That's probably what I would pick if I had to, but...
Or the title track.
Or, yeah,
the
fair.
title track. Yeah.
It's okay, yeah. Yeah, it's not the worst album ever made, but it's the odd man out, let's be honest. So, yeah, no surprises that we all bypassed that one. Let's see. Sad Wings of Destiny. I picked 3, Darcy picked 0, and Marty picked 1. So this is an album I rank really high in the Priest discography, so I wasn't surprised. I went kind of heavy on this album.
Yeah, in my defense on that one, I was like Marty. The Victim of Changes just got bumped out.
It got bumped.
It got bumped. It should be there, but fortunately, in my large melon, I can still play it at any time.
That's not how this works, Darcy. You have to throw everything in the wood chipper.
Oh, really? You have to go to.
You wake up with the little leech stuck to the side of your head like a Star Trek.
What's
2
that? Star Wars. You got to go to Anchorhead and have your memory erased.
You do, yes.
Okay. I didn't know that part. That wasn't in my email. Sorry.
When we say keep a reap, we go hard.
No shit. You guys run a. Yeah.
Yep. But yeah, and I get it. I mean, Victim it's the length. As we've seen, there's a lot of good Priest songs, but a lot of them get up in that 6 and 7 minute range, and you can only pick so many of those. So you got to pick and choose. I kept Victim, Marty kept Victim, but yep, Darcy got some other long, good songs instead.
I think Frosty. I think Alan picked the Sentinel for something. Did you?
No.
No.
Nope, I did not pick Sentinel.
Chad only. Okay.
Yep, Chad only for Sentinel. Let's see. Sin After Sin. I had 2. Marty had 2. Darcy bypassed this album.
No, I had 3 for Sin After
No, I
Sin.
had 1.
Oh, okay,
Sorry.
maybe I put. Okay, sorry. Again, good to know. Keeping up with this part was tricky tonight.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
so yeah,
it's
so
awesome
everyone's got Sin After Sin represented. Marty the most, but Darcy and I, yeah. So plenty of representation there. Let's see. We all picked Dissonant Aggressor, correct? Is that the one we all agreed on?
I didn't. I picked the Starbreaker.
Oh, you had Starbreaker. Okay. All right.
Last
so,
Rose, Sinner, and Dissonant Aggressor. Yep.
Okay. I had Dissonant Aggressor and the cover song. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, different. That's interesting. Yeah, we all really actually picked kind of different stuff from Sin After Sin, which goes back to what we've been saying all night. That album's got a lot of variation and a lot of good songs.
Yep.
I guess technically too, Alan, when you make my playlist available, my version of Starbreaker is from Unleashed in the East.
True that. I listed it here since this was the album it came from, but I do have it marked as live when I send Marty the track list. Yes.
Okay.
All right.
I'm writing a note now. Yep.
All right. Stained Class. I had 2 tracks.
1.
Darcy, I've got you down for 1, and Marty, you didn't pick anything from Stained Class, I don't think.
Yeah, I picked Beyond the Realms of Death.
You did have, okay. Let's get that updated. You've got Beyond. Okay. So, yep. Good representation there. Hellbent for Leather. I picked 3 tracks. Darcy, I've got you down for 1.
0.
0. Okay, that's where I got things switched with you a minute ago. And Marty, I've got you down for 2.
Yep.
And not that it's shit. Okay, I want to throw that out there. It just didn't make the cut for some reason.
Sometimes it doesn't. People, there is, different opinions on that album. Some people rank it kind of high, and some people definitely think it's, a bit more average. So
no, and you know where I kind of my thought process on that album is, everything is just like a good level. It's not a it's not a bumpy ride in any shape or form. It's just got lots of great tracks. And it honestly, it boiled down to is, what the hell do I pick?
That's going to happen to me here in a few minutes. I had that exact same problem with a different album that is coming down the line. Let's see. So after that, we've got British Steel. 1 for me that apparently was not very popular. 1 for Darcy and 2 for Marty.
Yep.
And nobody picked Grinder. That was a song I was.
I love that riff, but it just couldn't squeeze her in.
Yep, I couldn't either. I could not. Then we get to Point of Entry. No entries from me. I make no apologies. It's one of my least favorite Priest albums. 1 track from Darcy, Desert Plains, I think.
Yep.
And Marty got Desert Plains and Heading Out to the Highway. So he had 2. All right. Then Screaming for Vengeance. I'm going to count Hellion Electric Eye as a 1 song rather than 2. So 1, 1 for me, 1 for Darcy, 2 for Marty.
3.
You got a third. Okay.
Electric Eye, Hellion, and Riding on the Wind, and Screaming for Vengeance.
Okay. See, and just 1 for you, Darcy. No, wait. Did you had 2 then, Darcy? Because you had Devil's Child, didn't you?
Just Devil's Child.
Oh, just Devil's Child. Okay. Oh, you did not include Hellion Electric Eye. Interesting.
No.
Okay. That's
had to make room for Jugulator.
I can respect that.
Why did we not get the thumbs up little icons? Darcy does it, he does this, and it shoots the lasers. Yeah,
I have no idea. Oh, this one?
Oh, it's
Jesus Christ, that's awesome.
It's simple, Marty. It's because we are not as cool as he is.
We're not Canadian.
Oh, no,
Canadians get all the bells and whistles.
I have no idea how he did that.
All right, so 1, 1, and 3 for Screaming for Vengeance. Defenders of the Faith. 1 for me, 2 for Darcy, 1 for Marty. Is what I've got down.
For which one? I'm sorry, I was reading the chat.
No problem. Defenders of the Faith.
Defenders, I've got.
You both had Free Will Burning. And Darcy, you had Love Bites.
Yeah, I had Free Will Burning. That's it. Which is crazy. It should have been more on that record.
And this is the album I got stuck on because my only pick is Heavy Duty, and that was only because I had 2 minutes to spare.
Yeah.
And I had the same problem here Darcy did. For me, Defenders, it's one of my favorite albums. I rank it very highly, but when you go track by track, it's just like, this album is just really great song to song to song, but what do I pick individually?
Yeah.
It was really hard. I had this problem with the Iron Maiden compilation video we did with Seventh Son of a Seventh Son. That album, everything on it's pretty consistently great to me, and it all fits together well. I don't want to hear one song off of Seventh Son. I want to sit and play the whole album. Defenders is kind of the same. And so I did the same petulant thing. It's like, if I can't have the whole album, I'm just not going to pick any of them. And I'll work in songs from other albums because I certainly wasn't short on great songs. So yeah, there's a lot I would like from Defenders, but trying to pick them apart was becoming a real headache. And so I just decided not to go there. So sad that, yes, it's my favorite Priest album that is very underrepresented here. All right, Turbo. Everyone got at least one Turbo track in. Let's see. Did anybody get 2 Turbo tracks in? Darcy, you had 2. You had Just Out in the Cold.
Yep.
And
Just
Marty,
one for me.
and just one Out in the Cold, and I took the title track. Okay. At Reckless, people mentioned Reckless. I would have included if I had some more time for sure. Then Ram It Down. Ram It Down got some love. I used 2 tracks, and you each used 1 track. And we definitely stuck to the highlights of that album: Ram It Down, Blood Red Skies, and Hard as Iron.
Yep.
All right. Painkiller. We all picked the title track, and I also used One Shot at Glory as my closing track.
Hey, King, what's up, man?
Hey, how's it going, King? I could have picked a lot more from Painkiller, but those songs are kind of long, and I didn't want it to dominate the whole album. Just wanted it to be, wanted to touch on it. And listen, at that point, Marty and I stop. Neither Marty or I have any songs after Painkiller. So nobody picked anything. Well, no, sorry. Darcy got Cathedral Spires from Jugulator, which props to him for giving up 9+ minutes for that song. It's a cool song.
That was a tough decision, but I
can imagine.
I just didn't want to do Rip or Dirty. I just think I think the band needs to recognize his contribution, and and at least KK, obviously KK has him in his band, and
singing for KK's Priest.
Those 2 albums are really good, especially the newest one, The Sinner Rides Again.
I still need to check them out. I haven't.
It's actually one of Ripper's best vocal performances. He's got that. I would say much better than Jugulator overall, and even better than I forget which Iced Earth I really like that he's on, but probably his best vocal performance period, I think.
Okay.
On the newest KK's album.
He's a great singer. You can't take that away from him. I liked him in Iced Earth. I liked him, and the KK's Priest stuff. He's a great singer.
No,
which Iced albums is he on? He's on that horrible Glorious Burden album. But that's not his fault.
The other one is
what's the other one?
I like the Civil War one. Is that the Glorious Burden? I like that album. Which
okay, I can't get into that one.
I like that record.
Okay, that's cool.
Then he did one more. He did 2 of them.
It wasn't Horror Show. That's still Barlow.
That's Barlow.
It's not Something Wicked. That's still Barlow.
Hold on, let me get over to Iced Earth here. Iced Earth.
It's
that's really about the time where I quit paying any attention.
Framing
to Iced
Armageddon.
Earth.
Yeah, Framing Armageddon. Yep.
Okay, I don't think I've ever heard that album.
So I just wanted to throw in too, when Rob left Priest, don't get me wrong, I am a Rob Halford. He is one of my absolute idols. He is up there with the guys like Kai Hansen and stuff like that. I was bent out of shape when it happened, and I didn't really I think I even did a video a year ago or something of albums that weren't really initially received well by me, and Jugulator was one of them. I was just like, I think they went to like a drop D tuning and things like that, and it just wasn't.
He joined Judas Priest they picked him out of a tribute band, and
Well,
then
yeah,
then they're not writing real Judas Priest song. They dropped their tuning. They tried to get heavier. They tried to bend even further into the times, and it was kind of a fail.
I think Glenn had probably way too much say back then too, because you look at, I don't know, we could get into a whole discussion on that, but I still wanted to throw something on my list. And I think Cathedral Spires is probably the best thing off of those two albums. There's other good tracks, like Bullet Train is another one that I considered, or Bloodstained, or Hell is Home, but definitely had to go with that one. So and then what's next after that? Nothing from
Demolition got picked by any of us. No surprise there. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Marty.
No, I was just thinking about the Glenn thing. You said you think Glenn had too much say. I think Glenn has always had the maximum say. And I saw recently KK was saying that he never liked Glenn. And it was always like they were always butting heads, and obviously it was a problem.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Glenn did, according at least to KK, Glenn did sort of start accruing more voting power over time, especially because he started dating one of the band's managers, and they got very closely linked in. So that gave Glenn kind of an extra vote, so to say, whenever it came to issues of the band. So yeah, but yes, so yeah, nothing off Demolition, no surprises there. I universally hailed as one of their worst albums. No one picked anything from Angel of Retribution, which is not a bad album. It's got some good songs. Darcy picked one from Nostradamus, which was interesting. Again, an album I want to revisit. Then let's see. We had nobody picked anything from Redeemer of Souls.
No, and I honestly, that is, to me, that was a sign of not having KK there at all, and still having Richie with not full input into the band. Production was weak on that album, I feel, but there's some good tracks. I do feel that Rob's vocals weren't on par on that album, but again, there's some, like I said, there's Valhalla. Somebody else mentioned another track from that album in the chat today. It's got a couple of good tracks, but production wise, it was Glenn Tipton and Mike Exner were on the production on that, and it wasn't great. It had a real hollowy sound, and I think they really redeemed themselves on Firepower when Richie kicked in and they had the better, more modern production. Yeah, somebody just said it, Redeemer. Yeah, I agree with that. And I just couldn't.
I don't think Ian ever wrote a song for Priest. He just plays bass in Judas Priest.
No, and he does not get paid for any of the royalties for that either. He probably just gets his Judas Priest money, and he doesn't want to anyways. He
always seems comfortable just being the guy in the background.
Yeah, no, he does. And I mean, on this latest record, Andy Sneap had him doing bass tracks in hotel rooms for they're on tour trying to get the shit done. And anyways, Ian just wants to do his thing and not worry about all that crap. So
that was another thing that pissed off KK. Was that what we're talking about here? Because when it was time to sort of when the band had to address the whole Halford situation for the first time in the history of Priest, Ian was the one who was kind of pushed in the back and like, you go do this, and KK was just like, we've never asked him to do anything, and he's the one who probably gets along with Rob the best.
Oops.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you guys forcing him to be the one to go out there and kind of be like, we're going to move on and do great without him, and try to sell everybody on the fact that they didn't need Rob anymore? KK really didn't like the fact that Ian was the one who was put up there on the firing line to address the situation, because obviously that's not a role Ian wants to fill. And again, Ian and Rob were always buddies, so making him try to throw Rob under the tour bus really rubbed KK the wrong way.
Yeah, you're probably right, Tim.
Yeah.
Let's see. So then, yeah, in turn, wrapping it up, Darcy, made sure to get the new stuff represented too. He's got one from Firepower and one from Invincible Shield. So yes, Darcy definitely did a better job at covering their whole career. Let's see. In terms of so there were only 4 albums that nobody picked anything from: Rockarola, Demolition, Angel of Retribution, and Redeemer of Souls. Those were the only 4 albums that got no love. Obviously Darcy covered the most albums, but even Darcy, 1, 2, 3, even there were even 6 albums. Even Darcy couldn't.
6 albums that.
Yep.
The first 3, and then Killing Machine, Demolition, and Angel, and Redeemer. I didn't get anything, so I only really covered 13 out of 19 studio albums. 6 were left off the list. Some for obvious reasons, because but there's a couple there. Like, I mean, Killing Machine or Hellbent for Leather. I mean, that was the same issue you had with Defenders. I just couldn't. What do I pick, man? I like lots of these tracks, but that's the thing. I like them. I don't know if I love them. You know what I mean? They weren't freewheel burnings for me, or.
Yep. Yeah, and I mean, again, we're talking, what do we say, 19 albums, and when you got 80 minutes, that means you basically have 4 minutes per album to work with. You start picking a couple of 6-minute songs, and an album's got to go. There's just no room. So, okay, those are the album breakdowns. Any particular honorable mentions, songs that y'all wanted to mention, to shout out that just missed the cut for you? Did anybody keep track of any of those?
Yeah, I wrote down some stuff that, like I said, Bloodstone tried to make it onto my list a couple times off of Screaming, but I had 3 songs from Screaming on there. Saints in Hell was on my list for a minute. Love Bites was on there twice. I like Jawbreaker and Eat Me Alive, and Victim of Change has had to get culled. It's a good song. It just doesn't have the density in the production. That hurts it a little bit. If you're listening just to that album, it works perfect. But when you mix it in with the other songs and the productions and stuff, it feels like it's a bit weaker. But it's still a great song. It was on a couple times, but it ended up getting replaced by Veils of Death. Yeah, that one.
I had mentioned
Beyond the Realms of Death. Sorry.
Yeah, you had a good list that you had to leave off. I had mentioned the other track from Firepower called No Surrender. That I left that one off. I don't know even if I had room, would I put it on? Maybe not, but somebody is reading my mind here. So Gates of Hell would be my second choice off of Invincible Shield. Absolutely killer track. Old school. It feels like an old school 80s. It easily could fit in the Defenders era, for sure. Victim of Changes, for sure. That one hurts. Solar Angels off of Point of Entry.
That's a good song.
That one kind of hurt to leave off. All of the rest of Defenders of the Faith, I could throw that on.
right.
Yep. Definitely Ram It Down. I would have loved to have room for that.
I thought you picked that one. No, you picked. Oh, no, you didn't. Okay.
No, I picked Blood Red Skies.
Alan picked Ram It Down.
I don't think you guys picked Blood Red Skies, did you?
No, didn't.
Nah, we'll get to there in a minute. Yeah, sad.
What else? Probably. Oh, I know. Dissident Aggressor and Sinner, because I mean, there's a shitload of good tracks on Sin After Sin.
Yeah.
Definitely Reckless off of Turbo, and yeah, that's probably about it.
Yep, that's a solid list. Let's see. For me, the 19th song, if there had been a room for it, was Sinner. That was the last one I pulled out of the list. Handful of others that were in the conversation late in the game. Grinder, really like that riff. That one, it just felt like what's the running time on Grinder pushes 5 minutes, if I remember right. It just felt like that's not how I want to spend 5 minutes. You know, it's just, I like the song a lot, but when I realized I was going to eat up that much time, it's like, yeah, I guess I'll leave it off.
Hey, Alan, I got to tell you something before I forget.
Sure.
Grinder riff. Now you have the new Riot V album.
Mm-hmm.
Does that one song not remind you of the Grinder riff, that first single?
Which one on it?
What was it called? It is, to me, it was like a total ripoff. What was the first single on Riot V's album? Does anybody know the album in the chat?
Yeah, I know. I don't have any idea which one was the first single, though.
If you could name the track.
Let's see. You've got Hail to the Warriors, Feel the Fire. Feel the Fire?
Yeah. That's the one.
Yep, it is. Yep, you're right.
that is total Grinder worship.
It is Grinder worship, and it's could be better Grinder worship. Yep.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, sorry.
No
had
problem.
To throw that out there. I would have forgot to ask you.
Yep. No, I'm glad you did. Let's see. I had to cut Screaming for Vengeance. That is a great song. To me, that song almost feels a little bit like Electric Eye Part 2. Those two songs for me are very similar.
Well,
nothing at all. But I felt like, if something has to go, I'm okay with one of these two. I don't necessarily have to both of them.
They're both the fastest songs on the album.
Yep. But I love the song to death. But I just like, I think I'm good since I've got the other one. If I was going to include another one of the hits, it would have been You've Got Another Thing Coming. But again, it's a little longer song and much better stuff than that.
Mm-hmm.
Another one that this may have been the second to last one that got cut was Blood Red Skies. I really wanted that song in there. If that song had been like 4, maybe 5 minutes, it would have been in. I would have left out Heavy Duty and maybe Breaking the Law at that point. But it's a long track. It's 7 and change.
Yeah.
For Blood Red Skies, I was having to give up too much other stuff for it. It's one of the songs that hurt the most because I do love that song. Let's see. Desert Plains was in the running. It was the one thing I picked from Point of Entry that it's like I could include this. I do like that song, but plenty of other good Priest songs. And again, it's a little on the longish side. I was not going to eat up a lot of real estate for a Point of Entry song. And the last one, like you, Darcy, just give me the whole Defenders of the Faith album.
Yeah.
But the song that I was trying to work in for the longest time was, like you guys, Free Will Burning.
I did have that on my list.
Yeah, like I was trying to get it in there. Y'all found some room for it. I couldn't quite find room for it. The thing it came down to was, again, with my kind of pacing, trying to do a couple of faster songs, a couple of slower back and forth. I almost had too many bangers. Marty, you asked it early on tonight, like how many bangers are we going to have on here? My list started to get a little full of, the really fast, high velocity stuff. So I needed to leave one of those off, and Free Will Burning, it drew the shortest straw, and that was the one that got left off. I could maybe put it on, but then I have to leave off one of the two burners from Ram It Down,
right?
Or I have to leave off Exciter. So it sucked. And like I said, I eventually just came to the mindset of if I can't have all of Defenders of the Faith, I'll just make do without any of it. Those were my honorable mentions. If there was a volume 2, that's where we start volume 2 is with that set of songs.
Right.
Oh, well,
I can't wait to listen to I'm going to listen to both of your playlists for sure when you guys put them up. That's for sure.
I'll try to do it tonight. If not, it'll be tomorrow, and I'm going to get mine's already done. Get everybody else's populated, and my kid did one. I'm going to add his to the list. I'll be sure to put the links in the description. I'll also do a community poll and see which one of you think is the best list. Not that it matters. It's just
for fun.
Community involvement. You know what I mean? So it'll be fun.
But Alan, I am going to have to pause yours after Heavy Duty and do my own DR.
Just skip this. There you go. You slide it in there in place of Breaking the Law, and then pick it back up for One Shot at Glory. And
but other than that, I mean, total great lists. Anyways, you guys, a lot of great Priest tracks that, like you guys said too, and I said it's not easy, but yeah, and it was tough. Like when I had to give up that almost 10 minutes for a Ripper song, it was like, okay,
here we go. Yep.
oh yeah,
Jeremy, Marty had the most Sing After Sing tracks with 3. I had 2, and Darcy had 1.
So Marty, that is your favorite Priest album. Mine is Defenders of the Faith. Alan, what is your Painkiller is your favorite overall Priest album?
I think I've got it. I think when we covered Priest with King, I think I put Painkiller number 1. It's very close because it's like we talked about. Priest has different eras, and they it seems like every era they have at least one amazing album. I have a hard time picking. Maybe Painkiller's in the conversation. Sad Wings of Destiny's in the conversation. Defenders of the Faith is in the conversation. It would probably be one of those 3. And again, that's 3 very different eras. It's a pain comparing those albums, almost to Painkiller, because they sound nothing alike, even though it's the same band. So,
the only thing that kind of cheeses me off is that wasted time between 90 and 97 with these guys. I mean, you got minimum of 2 albums missing, really, which if you want to jump over and check out, well, I mean, even Rob didn't do Priest then. He did Fight. He never did Halford till 2000, which if nobody's heard Rob's or Halford's debut as Halford called Resurrection, it could be easily the album that came after Painkiller.
It kind of feels like that missing Priest album.
It's really that good. And even Crucible, the second one, is got some killer tracks too. The third one, Made of Metal, is not as good in my opinion, but if nobody has checked out Halford's Resurrection, you should. It's really good.
I have not heard a single Halford or Fight album. I've heard songs here or there. I just never pursued it.
You love Painkiller. If I see an extra copy laying around somewhere, I'll pick it up for you and send it to you.
All right, on.
Yeah, I liked the Resurrection album when it came out. I have not replayed it in an age. I don't really know why. I just never go back to it. But no, you're exactly right, Darcy. It sounds like the Lost Priest album. I liked the first Fight album when it came out. It's a different kind of style. It's got that 90s weirdness to it.
I'm not a big fan of Fight, honestly. It's too Pantera.
It does lean in that direction for sure. I did not mind the first album, War of Words. I kind of dug. The second album was a mess. It was clear they had basically just barely an album's worth of good ideas to do, and then the second album they just wandered off into the weeds. But now Fight is another one. I haven't revisited that in forever, and the last couple of times I did, it felt very dated. It wasn't like, oh yeah, I remember this. It's more like, wow, that sounds so 1992, and not in the good way.
Yeah.
But yeah, any other closing thoughts, guys, on our Judas Priest experiment here?
No, a lot of fun though. Maybe I surprised you guys on a couple picks, and I guess maybe you surprised me on, that you haven't really dug in too deep into the newer stuff, and that's fine too.
I like Fire. Alan sent me Firepower. I like it. The Firepower and Invincible Shield. Every time I go to a record store, hold it in my hand. The CD's overpriced. The vinyl is insanely overpriced. I'm like, you know what? God damn it. I am not spending this much. I'm not spending almost $50 on a fucking Judas Priest record. New one. A new one. It's not even collectible at this point. Yep. And it was always the same with, I kind of wanted all the help of the Priest stuff on vinyl because I've got a big chunk of them that way. But it just, with Firepower, I'm like, I'm not. And it was the same thing with Firepower. Expensive as shit. Like, nope. It'll turn up. Alan got me a CD, and it's been great. I've enjoyed the hell out of it.
Yeah,
I figured you would. Yeah,
really
and those
good.
new albums. Yeah, those new albums, Darcy. It's not the Iron Maiden situation. Again, those new Iron Maiden albums, I have a hard time finding any enjoyment in them. But
they're tough.
Firepower. Invincible Shield has some songs I like. Angel of Retribution and Redeemer of Souls, they have some good songs. I didn't pick anything for the best of the best here, but those albums, none of them stink, in my opinion. They've, like you kind of said, they kind of got, into the Halford's back. We'll kind of let's settle into our thing and let's do our thing. So yeah, I think while I don't have those albums on the same tier as the old things, they're good enough albums. They do not bore me the way recent Iron Maiden offerings have, just really failed to click with me. So no, I think Priest, does the thing and does it well. Part of it's, it's nostalgia. It's the amount of time you've spent with some of it. A lot of their everything up through Painkiller, it was huge formative years kind of stuff, and everything from the past decade or so has been like, yeah, check it out when it comes out. Yeah, that sounds good. But it doesn't, I don't have 20 years of fond memories of rocking out to those. I can't. They haven't existed that long.
Yeah. No, and some of these even newer albums, I'm talking like even Redeemer of Souls on vinyl, it's gone. It's hundreds of dollars now. Like it's $100.
Mm-hmm.
Or, you can't find shit. And you're right, Marty. It is a lot to ask for people to. Mm-hmm. Even Invincible Shield, I think I seen it up to $50-$60. That's insane.
It's stupid. It's really stupid.
I did not pay that, but no.
Yep. Yeah. I shopped around on the CD. The first place I went to, they wanted like $18.99 or something for the CD. I'm just like, think
Shit, I was seeing it for 20 something in the shops.
Yeah, I went over to the other side of town and got it. For like I think it was $13.99 there. I'm just like, that will work.
Yeah, that's the reason why I haven't got it. It isn't because I've heard 2 songs off it and they were both great. I'm like, wow, sounds like Firepower Part 2, but it sounds really good.
Yep. But there it is, folks. Hope everybody has enjoyed our keeping and reaping of the Judas Priest catalog. Folks have thrown out lots of other good songs. There's been times we've agreed. There's been times we didn't agree. But yeah, it's been a really fun time. And again, thank you to everybody who donated through the super chats.
Oh, you guys are great.
That was really, really
so
awesome.
Very kind
folks
of you
to help out that way. We appreciate it so much. And Marty, any show notes, announcements you'd like to make before we put a pin in this one?
There'll be a review next week. I don't know what it is yet. Wednesday night, the Album Club, we're talking about Omen's Warning of Danger.
Oh, okay. So a big swing from the new ulcerate that you covered this past Wednesday.
I wanted it to be something that was fun and not so overburdened. You know what I mean? With complexity. Mm-hmm. And Friday, I can't remember. What was Friday?
Next Friday, you are on your own, mister, because I have family obligations. So Marty's going to, he won't be on his own. Marty will come up with a topic, we'll figure it out, and a guest or guests to do something fun with. But Labor Day weekend, I'm doing some stuff with the family, so I shall not be here. But I will definitely be checking out what folks do, assuming I can get a signal, which might be a question. Never know when visiting some of the family members because they are, again, out in the sticks.
Right on.
Yeah.
But everybody, please
go, folks. We got to get Darcy to bed pretty soon. So everybody have a great weekend, and thank you again for tuning in.
Yeah, thanks. You have such an awesome audience and comment section. So thanks very much, you guys.
Go check out Darcy 6 Strings 9 Lives if you have not already. Link in the description. Go check out Let's Talk Metal, Alan's channel, and Alan and I will just keep on plugging along. Cheers, everyone. Thank you again for the super chats. You're all fantastic.
Yep.
Thank you for
Simon,
contributing.
Tony, Laps, everybody, have a great weekend.
I'm so jealous. I want that. I want that. Anyway, see everybody.
One more.
Make him full screen. Come on.
Oh, wait. Damn it.
Let's go out here in style. If he's got the effects.
Let's do it.
3, 2, 1.
Thanks, everybody.
Damn it.